Chapter 1062. On the 29th day of the 5th month of the Empire calendar, thousands of miles to the east of the Shattered Cauldron realm, the three great empires stood on a huge territory. The balance of power between the Tianji Empire, the Celestial Empire, and the Blackstone Empire was slowly collapsing. The people in the central city of the Blackstone Empire, Mount Qianshan City, were in a state of panic. Over the past few days, dragon riders had been constantly descending upon the city, bringing bad news one after another. In the resplendent palace hall, Emperor Shi Yuan had a worried frown on his face. The faces of the ministers were also pale. The voice of a royal guard came from outside the door. Dragon Rider General Fu Yun requests an audience. Summon him, Shi Yuan said in a low voice. Amidst the heavy footsteps, Fu Yun, dressed in military attire, walked into the hall. There were even some bloodstains on his body. His expression was very grave as he knelt on one knee. Fu Yun greets your majesty. Get up, Fu Yun. You finally returned. What news did you bring? Shi Yuan said with his eyes narrowed. Fu Yun said in a deep voice, I found out that Feng Jixing is already training the navy on the Daojiang River. The Qin Empire has forged at least hundreds of fortress ships, barges. The entire Daojiang River of the Cangnan province is filled with traces of the navy. I think Feng Jixing's intentions are already very clear. It won't be long before they invade the east with the entire nation's military strength. Invade the east? Shi Yuan's eyes were filled with coldness as he said, My Blackstone Empire will definitely not sit and wait for death. A mere Shattered Cauldron realm wants to destroy my Blackstone Empire? Dream on. At this moment, the young man sitting on the golden chair beside Shi Yuan stood up and said with an extremely pleasant voice, Your Majesty, you don't have to worry too much. I don't think that Feng Jixing's training of the navy means that they're going on an expedition to the east. After all, the Shattered Cauldron realm has been at war for many years and has long exhausted their savings. Feng Jixing's training of the navy is just to protect himself. The one who spoke was none other than Longxi of the Thunder Flame sect, a peerless expert with the immortal character of ice and fire and a 92-fold grotto heaven. Moreover, Longxi was talented and had entered the divine state a long time ago. He retained the appearance of a 26-year-old and looked very young. However, who would have thought that such a young man would have thousands of troops and more than 50,000 cultivators of the Thunder Flame sect under his command? Shi Yuan nodded. Sect Master Long is right, but the Empire's westward expedition is imminent. We have no choice but to fight. Longxi smiled faintly. It seems that your Majesty has made up your mind. Yes. Shi Yuan smiled calmly and explained. Firstly, the northern border of the empire is no longer safe. The Bai Zhe mercenaries led by Si Kongyao and Liu Bai already have hundreds of thousands of soldiers. Coupled with the help of the demonic spirit race from the Forest of No Return, a few counties in the north have fallen one after another. The empire has no strength to tangle with Si Kongyao in the north. Secondly, the young emperor of the Celestial Empire, Qin Yu, was defeated in the Battle of Eastcom City, losing more than 1 million troops. Now, he has regrouped hundreds of thousands of troops and is constantly attacking the cities on the eastern border of the Blackstone Empire. The fortresses that we have spent hundreds of years building are falling one after another. We have no strength to contend against the Celestial Empire. As such, what other choice do we have apart from an expedition to the west? Longxi smiled and lowered his head to look at the person on the other side of Shi Yuan. He said, His Majesty said that the Blackstone Empire now has a right-hand man. Why don't we ask the right-hand man when we are in such a predicament? On the other side was a middle-aged man with restrained divine light. He was wearing armor, and there was even a piece of wolf skin on his shoulder armor. He looked extremely capable and experienced. He was none other than the Valley Master of the Wolf Valley, He Song, the clan leader of the two great reclusive tribes in the Celestial Pole continent. He Song cultivated the laws of wind and had long advanced to the great perfection divine emperor realm. The tribe under his command even had 100,000 troops. It was just that he stood aloof from worldly affairs. Otherwise, he would be able to set off huge waves in the Celestial Pole continent. Longxi said with a smile, Valley Master Hisong has 100,000 troops under his command. Why would he be afraid of Qinyu and Si Kongyao? Your Majesty must know that. Among the 10 sacred martial gods in the Wolf Valley alone, there are several tens of sacred martial kings and several hundred sacred martial venerables. As long as Valley Master Hisong decides to send out his troops, I dare say that Qinyu will definitely stop the war and Si Kongyao will also carefully consider it. However, Hisong did not say anything. Shi Yuan could not help but turn around and ask in a gentle voice, Valley Master, what do you think? Hisong stroked his short beard and said with a smile, I really don't deserve such high praise from Sect Master Long. However, I also don't agree with the plan to send troops to the Shattered Cauldron Realm. The land of the Blackstone Empire is a treasure passed down from our ancestors. How can we hand it over to others? Your Majesty, if it's for the sake of defending the Blackstone Empire, Wolf Valley is willing to send troops. Otherwise, the disciples of Wolf Valley are really not willing to stain the yellow sands of other countries with their blood. Shi Yuan could not help but frown and said, It seems that the two of you don't agree with the matter of going on an expedition, yes. Hisong said, If the Blackstone Empire gives in and leaves the Celestial Continent, it will only make the Tianji Empire and the Celestial Empire stronger and stronger. Even if your Majesty manages to take over the Shattered Cauldron Realm, the Blackstone Empire will also suffer a great blow. At that time, the Tianji Empire and the Celestial Empire will join hands and go on an expedition to the west. What will we rely on to protect the Shattered Cauldron Realm that we have just obtained? Shi Yuan muttered, Valley Master is right. Hisong smiled. If it's just to protect the Celestial Empire, Wolf Valley is willing to send troops. However, since Wolf Valley has decided to be loyal to your Majesty, I hope that your Majesty can give me some promises. Oh? What promises? Confer a city to Wolf Valley so that my troops can have a place to stay. This city must be large, have a large population, and be sufficiently prosperous. Shi Yuan's eyes flickered, but he did not say anything. Longxi, who was at the side, smiled and said, With the reward of a city, you can get 100,000 soldiers. Why not, Your Majesty? Red Rock City in Red Rock Province can be used as a reward. Red Rock City is strong and prosperous, with a population of more than 1 million. Adding the dozens of counties in the surroundings, it has a total population of more than 1,000 people. I think it should be enough for Wolf Valley to station troops. Shi Yuan looked at Hisong with a stern gaze and said, Then, we will now confer Valley Master the Consul of Red Rock Province. You will be in charge of all the important military and political affairs in the province. I will send 3 generals to assist Valley Master in resisting the Celestial Empire and recovering the lost land. Many thanks for your Majesty's great kindness. Hisong took a few steps back and knelt on one knee, his face full of joy. Men, seal and ribbon. Shi Yuan personally handed the seal and axe to Hisong and said, Red Rock City is in imminent danger. I hope Valley Master can send reinforcements as soon as possible. Yes, your subordinate will return to Wolf Valley and give the order to set out. As soon as he finished speaking, Hisong had already shattered the void and disappeared from the Great Hall, leaving behind only a strong gust of wind. Shi Yuan glanced at the crowd of officials and said, Disperse. Sect Leader Long, please follow me to the rear hall for a chat. Yes, Your Majesty. In the rear hall, 2 palace maids lit up an incense burner and respectfully waited on the side. Shi Yuan helplessly sat in front of a table filled with memorials to the throne and said, Sect Leader Long, what do you think of Hisong? Although they were called his left and right arms, the person Shi Yuan truly valued was Longxi alone. After all, Longxi was the strongest expert of the Blackstone Empire, while Hisong was merely the leader of 2 great secluded tribes in the Outlands. They were just using each other. Longxi smiled faintly. Hisong has a request for the Empire, and Your Majesty also needs Hisong's troops to resist the Celestial Empire's Qinyu. Therefore, this subject believes that Your Majesty conferring the title of Red Rock Province to Hisong is a dangerous move, but also a clever one. Is that so? Shi Yuan said dejectedly, We feel as if we are ceding the territory of our ancestors. To think that someone like He Song, who wields such a powerful army, waits his tail and begs for pity, is truly a disgrace to the sovereign of an empire. A lack of forbearance in small matters will spoil great plans. Since ancient times, heroes have always sought victory on the precipice of life and death. Your Majesty is no different. All we need is He Song's 100,000 elite troops from Wolf Valley to help us defeat Qinyu. Once we defeat Qinyu, Wolf Valley's troops will definitely suffer heavy losses. At that time, it will be as easy as turning over our hands for us to take back He Song's military power and political power. Sect Leader Long, do you know why He Song must go to Red Rock City? Shi Yuan asked. Longxi was startled, but he did not speak. Sect Leader is unwilling to say? Longxi shook his head. It's not that I'm unwilling, but that I don't want to say. Why? Longxi smiled. It seems that Your Majesty really doesn't know much about Wolf Valley. The people of Wolf Valley have the nature of wolves, and the cultivation technique they cultivate is called the blood wolf art. It is abnormally tyrannical, and the only way to awaken the blood wolf art is through blood sacrifice. Blood sacrifice? Shi Yuan was slightly stunned. Yes, blood sacrifice. Using the blood of living people as a guide, one can obtain a powerful bloodline awakening power. Wolf Valley has nearly 50,000 cultivators who have awakened the blood wolf art, and they have devoured the lives of 50,000 innocent people. This is also the reason why people have been disappearing at the borders of the Blackstone Empire for so many years. Didn't Your Majesty order us not to investigate this matter in order to avoid conflict with Wolf Valley? Shi Yuan sighed. So, He Song wants Red Rock City because he covets the flesh and blood of the Empire's citizens? Yes, the purer the bloodline of the person used for the blood sacrifice, the stronger the power of the blood sacrifice. It is best to use virgin boys and girls, which is why He Song wants Red Rock City. Aren't we handing over the lives of our citizens to a bunch of demons? Shi Yuan slammed his fist on the table, instantly shattering the memorial and splitting the table into two. The veins on his face bulged, and beads of sweat seeped out. His entire body trembled as he said, "From today onwards, I will be reviled by the people of the world, and my name will be infamous for 10,000 years. Your Majesty!" Longxi's voice became heavier. Those who want to achieve great things don't bother with trifles. Your Majesty, please do not hesitate. Once the Blackstone Empire's predicament is resolved, I will do my best to help Your Majesty eliminate He Song and the others. I will depend on Sect Leader. Shi Yuan nodded and did not say anything else. High up in the sky, far to the north, the pure land in the horizon started to snow heavily. This place was cold all year round, but the spiritual energy was dense and the life force was exuberant. Under the cover of the snow, a lush green forest covered the land. Even in the northern heaven realm, even if it was snowing non-stop, the flowers here would always bloom. Rustle, rustle, rustle. Amidst the sound of stepping on the snow, two people in white robes walked in a zigzag manner in the mountains. Their target was a sturdy city in the northern heaven realm's snowy region. It was a city that stood tall in the sky, connected to the earth by iron chains. The entire city seemed to be floating in the air. This was the center of the northern heaven realm, Black Rock City. When the two stopped at the foot of Black Rock City, heavenly soldiers and generals holding weapons appeared above them. They shouted loudly, "Who goes there?" Sush. A petite person walked forward and lifted her cloak, revealing a beautiful face. She said, "Western Divine Realm's blazing angel Eva seeks an audience with Northern Region's King of Gods, Dong Ming." Chapter 1063. Blazing Angel? What a joke! A Northern Region Divine Guard in fiery red armor couldn't help but burst into laughter. He laughed so hard that tears came out of his eyes. He pointed at Eva and said, "Little girl, you are indeed pretty. But why would a blazing angel come to the northern region? Hurry up and leave. Two wandering gods dare to come to Blackrock City to cheat? I think you must be tired of living." Eva was infuriated. However, the person behind him placed a hand on Yuan's fragrant shoulder and ordered her not to transform into a blazing angel. He said, If you get angry at these small fries, it would be a disgrace to our Western divine realm. Let me handle it. Yes, ruler. Eva nodded respectfully. When the cloak was taken off, Claude's chaotic face was devoid of any emotion. He spread his arms wide and his body rapidly expanded. The light he created was comparable to that of Blackrock City. The aura he exuded was enough to send chills down the spines of those who saw it. Go tell God King Dongming that Claude from the Western Divine Realm wants to see him. Yes. Yes. The Northern Region Divine Guard was so scared that his face turned pale. He hurriedly said, "Someone, open the door and let Ruler and Lord Blazing Angel in. Go and report to His Majesty that the ruler of the Western Divine Realm is here." Eva snorted coldly and followed Claude into Blackrock City. In the city, the Northern Region Divine Guards formed a forest in the sky. Each of them had a bright sword and armor. At a glance, there were tens of thousands of God King and Hierarch level experts. The strength of the Northern Heaven Realm was evident. Claude floated away without looking sideways. Eva carefully looked around. The intention of the Northern Heaven Realm was unclear. No one knew what would happen next. In the distance, a huge frost palace stood in the sky. Before entering the palace, a figure came out to welcome them. It was God King Dongming from the Northern Heaven Realm. "Ah, old friend, long time no see." Dongming affectionately opened his arms and hugged Claude. "Papa, Papa." Rays of divine power blazed fiercely on Dongming's frost battle armor. However, who was Dongming? With his 99-level Grotto Heaven Frost over God Divine Core, he naturally wouldn't be afraid of light elemental attacks of this level. He laughed heartily and let go of Claude, who was like a donkey stump. He flicked the flames on his chest and said smilingly, "It's been so many years since we last met, but Brother Claude, you're still as cold and aloof as ever." Claude smiled faintly. The godly King Winter Mystic is still as passionate and unrestrained as ever. "Ha, come in, come in." Dongming said loudly, "Someone brew tea. Use the best tea to entertain our distinguished guests. Our Northern Heaven Realm has not had such a distinguished guest for many years. Come, come, let's sing and dance to liven things up." The tea was good and fragrant. The dancers were all goddesses. There was nothing to say about their figures and looks. It was said that the Northern Heaven Realm was rich in beauties, and this was definitely not a lie. I didn't expect that the Northern Heaven Realm would still be so peaceful. Claude sipped his tea and said lightly, "Brother, what do you mean?" Dongming asked with a smile. Claude couldn't help but laugh. The war between the East Heaven and the Western Divine Realm has been going on for so long. Haven't you heard of this news, Brother Dongming? And I heard that the subordinate of the Seven Luminaries Demon Emperor, Sun Feng, often leads his army to harass the territories of the Northern Heaven Realm. This news shouldn't be fake, right? Brother Dongming has always been proud of the Northern region. How could he endure such humiliation? Seems Brother Claude didn't come to the Northern Heaven Realm to drink tea and reminisce about the past. Dongming blew a breath of hot air and said with a smile, "The tea of our Northern Heaven Realm smells fresh and has a long aftertaste. Brother, if you don't enjoy it, it would be a wasted trip. You're really boring. You only know how to fight and kill all day, but you don't know how to enjoy it all." Claude couldn't bear it anymore. He suddenly slammed his palm on the table, causing the teapot to fly up. He said angrily, "Dongming. Look, you're even angry." Dongming smiled. Suddenly, his gaze turned cold and he said, "Do you think I don't want to take revenge? My subordinates, Yang Li, Zhou Shi and the others, died without a burial place in the Shattered Cauldron world. But before I took action, I received a warning from Ziyao. Until now, I can't act rashly. Do you think I'm not ashamed?" Claude was stunned. "Brother, just now, I'm just trying to see if the Western Divine Realm has any sincerity." Dongming waved his arm and said, "All the songs and dances are over. Men, call the two marshals over." Very quickly, two god generals with 98 heavens and golden armor walked in and sat at the side respectfully. Dongming stood up and said with a calm expression, "Let me introduce you. The one on the left is Dong Han, my younger brother. He's 98 Heavenly Paradise God Emperor and cultivates the Law of Frost. He's one of the 2 marshals of the Northern Heaven Realm and controls 80,000 heavenly soldiers. The one on the right is Xianxia, one of the 2 marshals. He also controls 80,000 heavenly soldiers. Most of the power of the Northern Heaven Realm is in the hands of the 2 marshals. Dong Han and Xianxia stood up at the same time and bowed. "Greetings, Master Claude." Claude nodded his head in greeting. His heart was filled with joy. He said, "So, the Northern Heaven Realm is also preparing to take action?" Dong Ming smiled slightly. "The military strength of the Eastern Heaven Realm is getting stronger and stronger." The 7 Luminaries Demon Emperor is arrogant and overbearing. He has long had the intention to annex the Northern Heaven Realm. We are all ancient gods. How can we bear such a shame of extinction? Even if we lose, the Northern Heaven Realm will definitely make the 7 Luminaries Demon Emperor lose a few teeth. "No, we won't lose," Claude said in a deep voice. "As long as you and I join forces, as long as the 2 heavenly regions of the Northwest and Northwest form an alliance, why worry about not being able to destroy a mere East Heaven? The East Heaven has been fighting for years and has lost a lot of power. Now, there are only 30,000 heavenly soldiers under Sun Feng and Qin Ping's command, plus the 20,000 left army of the 7 Luminaries Demon Emperor. The East Heaven only has a total of 80,000 heavenly soldiers. Why would Brother Dong Ming's 160,000 heavenly soldiers be afraid of his 80,000? In addition to the 110,000 angel army of the Western Divine Realm, it's enough to destroy the East Heaven 10 times. Oh! Xianxia couldn't help but laugh. So the Lord Ruler still has 110,000 angel army in his hands. If that's the case, how can your Western Divine Realm still be defeated by the East Heaven? Claude was speechless and his face was livid. Eva shouted in a low voice, "Presumptuous! Marshal Xianxia probably doesn't know the methods of the 7 Luminaries Demon Emperor, right? The 7 Luminaries Demon Emperor has the sovereign godhead and is tyrannical and overbearing. In addition, Ziyao and Sun Feng are both 99 Heavenly Path God Emperors. I'm afraid that even the Northern Heaven Realm would be defeated." "What a joke," Xianxia said coldly. "If that's the case, the 7 Luminaries Demon Emperor wouldn't have attacked the Western Divine Realm first and not the Northern Heaven Realm." Claude frowned. If Marshal Xianxia had seen the power of the 7 Luminaries Demon Emperor and felt the aura of the 7 Luminaries Demon Emperor, I'm afraid he wouldn't say that. Seeing that Claude and Eva were about to burn, Dong Ming raised her hand and said with a smile, "Xianxia, shut up. This time, we're discussing the alliance. There's no need to talk about unimportant things." "Yes, Your Majesty." "Brother Claude, there's no need to lower yourself to his level. Xianxia has always been so arrogant and despotic. I hope you can forgive him." "It's fine." Claude's eyes were almost on fire. Dong Ming said, "Once you and I make an alliance, how will we destroy East Heaven together?" Claude pondered for a moment and said, "East Heaven has continuously seized control of nearly 2,000 planes in the Western Divine Realm. I plan to launch a war to recover them in 3 days. At that time, the Northern Heaven Realm will come out and attack East Heaven, leaving the 7 Luminaries Demon Emperor unable to split himself. In this way, East Heaven will inevitably collapse, and that will be the day when Elder Brother's great success will come. Since it's a coordinated attack, why use the power of the entire country?" "What does Elder Brother mean?" "What I mean is very simple." Dong Ming raised the corner of her mouth and said, "I only need to send Xianxia to lead 80,000 soldiers to attack East Heaven, and he will be able to pin down the 7 Luminaries Demon Emperor. In addition, I can also send another army into the mortal world for a war of revenge." "War of revenge?" Claude was startled. "What do you mean?" "Yang Li is Xianxia's younger brother. Yang Li died in the Shattered Cauldron Realm. How can we not avenge him?" Dong Ming smiled meaningfully. "Lin Mu also has a sovereign personality. His roots are in the Shattered Cauldron Realm, and he will definitely return. I plan to send a big gift to the 7 luminaries demon emperor by sending the absolute power of the heavenly army into the Shattered Cauldron realm, ambush Lin Muyu, and kill him completely. Then, they will bring Lin Muyu's head as a gift to the 7 luminaries demon emperor and Xiao. Do you think the 7 luminaries demon emperor can still maintain his calm and command the war of gods? Claude frowned. The matters of the mortal world should be settled by the gods of the mortal world. I have already arranged for Dora, Zai, and other angels to stay in the Shattered Cauldron realm. Once the Northern Heaven realm intervenes, I'm afraid it will cause unnecessary disputes and destroy the alliance we have just concluded. I'm afraid Dora and Zai won't be able to complete their mission, right? Dong Ming waved her hand and said, "Why is Lord Ruler so indecisive? It's just a mere celestial pole continent. So what if you give it to our Northern Heaven realm? Besides, I just want to get rid of the 7 luminaries demon emperor's right-hand man. Once we unify that plane, we will return it to the Western Divine Realm." Claude's mind was in a mess. Dong Ming's meaning couldn't be clearer. Exchanging the celestial pole continent for the Northern Heaven realm to send troops might be the only way out. Fine, since that's the case, I will entrust the war of the celestial pole continent to the Northern Heaven realm. Please rest assured, Lord Ruler. The Northern Heaven realm will definitely not let you down. 10 minutes later, 2 figures flashed past like lightning in the tunnel of time travel. It was Claude and Eva who were on their way back. Ruler, if you really want to give the celestial pole continent to the Northern Heaven realm, then that Dong Ming is an old fox, Eva said uneasily. Other than that, there's no other way. A glint shot out of Claude's eyes and said, Dong Ming doesn't really want to attack the East Heaven. Do you think I can't see it? If Dong Ming wants the celestial pole continent, then let him go and fight with Lin Muyu until his head bleeds. In addition, secretly arrange for people, all experts above the Radiant Angel level, to sneak attack the area connecting the Northern Heaven realm and the Eastern Heaven realm in 2 days. Kill their gods, seize their godhoods, and leave behind the seal of the East Heaven. Eva couldn't help but frown. Lord, are you trying to provoke a conflict between the 7 luminaries demon emperor and Dong Ming? That's right, this is the first step. Claude's eyes were full of murderous light, and he said lightly, the second step is for Dong Ming to kill Lin Muyu and Qin Yin, making the 7 luminaries demon emperor and Xiao lose their rationality in a real sense. Chapter 1064. Early in the morning, the spirit medicine department was tranquil and peaceful. Birds cried in unison as they flew about above the flower canopy, and there was a beautiful figure between the numerous stalks of fresh flowers. She was trimming some withered branches carefully as if she was deeply afraid of cutting off even a small part of a living branch. Great Deacon! Lan Yan's voice came from behind. She bounced like a butterfly and said with a smile, Good news, good news. Oh, what good news? Chu Yao turned around and said with a smile, You and Xiao Yin are back. That's not it. Commander Feng is back. Oh, Big Brother Feng is back. How is this good news? Great Deacon, you may not know this, but a group of Iha Nation's traders came back with General Feng, including the former South King, Qin Yi, and his son, Qin Huan. There were also some generals and nobles of Iha Nation, such as Man Ning and the others. These Iha Nation's traders rested in Five Valleys City for nearly half a month, and finally returned to the imperial capital under General Feng's supervision. Lan Yan blinked and said, Here, this is the invitation for an impromptu court meeting in Zetian Hall in the afternoon. You are one of the 3 great deacons, so you naturally have to go. Qin is back? Chu Yao frowned slightly and said, I want to see how Commander Feng Jixing plans to deal with this group of traitors. During the chaos in Lanyan City, the people who really killed Chu Huayin were LV Zhao, Long Chenlin, and the others. Now that LV Zhao and Long Chenlin had passed away, only Qin Yi, the South King, was left. However, Chu Yao had been in the imperial capital for many years, and she was no longer the little woman who only knew hatred. Now that she had stepped into the god state, she knew what she should do and what she should not do. Lan Yan, help me prepare the equipment. After lunch, you will follow me to Zetian Hall. Yes, Great Deacon. The so-called uniforms were custom-made by the Ministry of Personnel for all the officials of the empire. The uniforms were different for civil and military officials, men and women. The uniform of the chief attendant of the spiritual medicine department was also of a unique style, and it was custom-made by a famous tailor for Chu Yao. After all, Chu Yao's status in the capital was extraordinary. She was Lin Muyu's elder sister, and even the empress, Qin Yin, had to address her as big sister. Furthermore, she was a god state expert, so everyone had to give her some face. In the afternoon, civil and military officials arrived at Zetian Palace in an endless stream. The grand court meeting had not been held for a long time. Ever since Feng Jixing left Lanyan City, Suyu had been the only one to hold a few large-scale meetings. There was a forest of guards outside the palace. After the reconstruction of the imperial guards, most of them were selected from the Holy Temple. There were many people who were well-versed in the Great Fire Technique and the Martial God Technique. The number of experts who were trained by Lin Muyu and Qin Yan numbered more than 400. The overall strength of the Imperial Guards had already surpassed the scale when Qin Jin was still alive. Chu Yao was dressed in a dignified chief attendant's robe. She entered the palace side by side with Qin Yan and looked up. The person sitting on the throne was Su Yu, Qin Yin's aunt. Su Yu was sitting there with a long sword in her hand. It was the recast Desolation Sword, and it represented the highest authority in Lanyan City. Meanwhile, Feng Jixing stood at the side like a god of war. Su Yu represented the highest authority, and Feng Jixing represented the highest authority in the army. We pay our respects to Chief Attendant Chu Yao. When Chu Yao passed by, Wei Chou, Su Jiantao, Citizen, Su Shui, and the other subordinates of Lin Muyu all bowed. They knew very well how important Chu Yao was in Lin Muyu's heart, and they could not afford to slight her in the slightest. Thank you for your hard work, everyone. Chu Yao nodded with a smile and continued walking forward. She was one of the 3 chief attendants, and her position in the imperial court was above that of deputy commanders like Wei Chou and Situ Sun, so her position was closer to the throne. And when Chu Yao passed by the 2 brothers, Qin Yi and Qin Lian, she could not help but take a second look, and then stood beside Qin Lian. You are the king of South Subduing, Qin Yi? Chu Yao asked. Qin Yi frowned and said, That's me, and you are? Chu Yao of the Spiritual Medicine Department. Oh, so it's Chief Attendant Chu Yao? Sorry for not recognizing you. Qin Yi cupped his fists and bowed. He had heard of this name before. In the past, the empire had a famous general called Chu Huayin, who had dealt a heavy blow to the army of Iha country, and this beautiful chief attendant was Chu Huayin's younger sister. Chu Yao smiled and said, The king of South Subduing has returned to Zetian Palace, and you have met your brother, chief attendant. So you must have endless things to talk about, right? Qin Yi was a little embarrassed, and did not know how to answer. Qin Lian said, The past. Can't Chief Attendant Chu Yao let it go? Chu Yao laughed lightly. I'm just a little girl. So what if I let it go? So what if I don't? But I know that if Emperor Qin Jin was still standing under this plaque, he definitely wouldn't let go of this act of brothers killing each other. I also know that Feng Jixing, who is standing beside the throne, definitely wouldn't let go. I also know that if my brother was still alive, he also wouldn't let go. Some things shouldn't be forgiven in the first place. You are right, Chief Attendant. Qin Yi nodded and said, I know what I've done wrong, and I have never thought of quibbling about it. No matter what punishment Zetian Palace gives me, I will gladly accept it. That's good. Chu Yao smiled faintly. But at this time, Qin Huan, who was behind Qin Yi, said angrily with an ashen face, Chu Yao, you're just a chief attendant of the spiritual medicine department. What right do you have to mock and ridicule us here? I don't think you have the right to speak in Zetian Palace, do you? Chu Yao frowned slightly, but before she could say anything, Sidu Sen and Wei Chou walked over, and as if unsheathing their swords, they shouted, Qin Huan, do you know who you're talking to? Do you want to die? When military generals entered Zetian Palace Hall, they had to remove their weapons, but Wei Chou and Sidu Sen's weapons were still there, so they were pardoned. To be able to obtain this kind of exemption, Which one of them was not a famous general who had made outstanding military achievements? No matter how ignorant Qin Huan was, he knew the status of these two people in the imperial military, so he clenched his teeth and said nothing. Chu Yao, on the other hand, chuckled and said, "Deputy commanders, stand back. Don't mess up the rules of Zetian Palace." "Yes, chief attendant." Wei Chou and citizens stepped back, giving Chu Yao enough face. The rest of the officials saw this, but they remained silent. Even Qin Huan, who was the chief of the National Assembly, didn't say anything, so what right did the others have to make irresponsible remarks? "Is everyone here? If so, let's start the discussion," Feng Jixing said. The official outside the palace said loudly, reporting to General Feng, "Everyone is here." "Good, close the doors of the palace and start the discussion." "Yes." The two lacquered golden doors closed with a rumble. However, there were many dazzling engraved gems at the bottom of Zetian Palace that refracted light, causing the palace to be as bright as day even after the doors were closed. Feng Jixing looked respectfully at Su Yu, who stood up with the solitary desolation sword in her arms. She said calmly, 12 years and 2 months ago today, the volunteer army began to attack the imperial capital, Lanyan City. That was a disaster for the empire, and the living will never forget the names carved on the national monument. They were the pillars and heroes of the empire. Chu Huai, Qin Lei, Lei Hong, Si Kongfan Yuanxia, Meng Fong, Luo Lai, Zhuge Yun, and so on. Their deaths were exchanged for the rebirth of Lanyan City, and the living will never forget them, nor will they forget their hatred. As she spoke, Su Yu looked at Qin Yi, Qin Huan, and the others with a gaze as sharp as a sword. She said, "Now, the remnants of the Iha nation have been driven into a corner and have been recovered by Commander Feng Jixing. The leader of the rebel army, Qin Yi, is also standing in this imperial court. Although 12 years have passed, do you think this debt should be settled?" Feng Jixing said, "As for how to deal with the Prince of Jinan and the old subordinates of the Iha nation, everyone can speak freely. No matter what you say, we will not pursue the matter after." For a whole minute, the officials were silent. "What? No one is willing to speak?" Feng Jixing smiled. "Then I will speak first. I think the guilty officials should never be pardoned. Qin Yi and his people should be executed on the spot." Ah! Qin Yi and Qin Huan were stunned. No one thought that Feng Jixing would be so ruthless. They originally thought that he brought Qin Yi back to Lanyan City for a public trial, but they didn't think that he just wanted to change the location and kill Qin Yi. Among the officials, Zheng Yifan coughed and said, "General Feng, I have something to say." "Speak." "The Prince of Jinan, Qin Yi, murdered the late Emperor, Qin Jin. This is a feud. I think that the person who can decide Qin Yi's life or death should be Her Highness, the Empress. How about we wait for Her Highness to finish her seclusion and let her decide Qin Yi's life or death herself?" Divine Marquis is indeed far-sighted. "Let's do as you say." Feng Jixing waved his hand and said, "After the court meeting is over, escort Qin Yi, Qin Huan, Man Ning, and the rest of the Iha nation's survivors to the National Monument. Set up temporary residences outside the monument and let them guard the tombs of the empire's fallen heroes until Her Highness Yin comes out of seclusion." "Where is Zhang Wei?" "I'm here." Zhang Wei stepped forward. "Take 2,000 elite imperial guards to guard them. Take turns in the future. Do not neglect them." "Yes, I understand." Feng Jixing seemed to have said too much. He rested for a few seconds and said, "Let's move on to the next item. The Empire's navy urgently needs 500 million Jingren coins to build improved steam-plated ships. Where are we going to get these 200 million Jingren coins?" "Ministry of Revenue, tell me." The Ministry of Revenue minister held the jade tablet in his hand and said, "General Feng, the Ministry of Revenue has been allocating funds to open up wastelands for farming since the beginning of spring. These grains have not been collected yet, so the Ministry of Revenue's funds are very tight. We can only fork out about 200 million Jingren coins." "Nonsense. I've checked the Ministry of Revenue's accounts. We have at least 800 million Jingren coins. General Feng, you might not know this, but 600 million of these 800 million Jingren coins were decided by the Congress. This matter should be explained to you by the general. Feng Jixing looked at Qin Lian. Qin Lian said, after years of war, the current situation of more than a dozen provinces is the same. Population loss, land barren. Therefore, the Congress has decided to allocate 400 million Jingren coins to build public offices in various states to provide housing for the displaced citizens of the empire. Another 200 million Jingren coins to build schools in various places to educate homeless children. This is the empire's long-term strategy. Please approve, General Feng. Feng Jixing was stunned. In terms of military ability, Feng Jixing was second to none in Lanyan City. But in terms of government affairs, Feng Jixing was probably 10 times worse than Qin Lian. Su Er nodded and said in a low voice, "The general is right. We can't be militaristic." "I know." Feng Jixing took a deep breath, clenched his fists, and said, "The academy needs to be set up and the warship needs to be built as well. Since the Congress and the Ministry of Revenue have spent all the resources of the empire, then I, Feng Jixing, will get the money myself." "Hey, don't mess around." Su Er frowned. Chapter 1065. 3 days later, on the east coast of Tongtian Gorge, Silver Scale Port. This port had been built for 3 months and was supervised by Qianfeng himself. Its name came from the undulating waves on the surface of the sea during the day, which looked like countless silver fish scales. At noon, a row of warhorses galloped out of the port. The 2 people in the lead were Qianfeng and Feng Jixing, who had been in Lanyan City 3 days ago. "General Feng, please have a look." Qianfeng pointed at the port and said proudly, "This silver-scale port is big enough for hundreds of warships to dock. Neither storms nor tsunamis can harm the ships in the port. Moreover, the sea route to the Tianji Empire has been opened, so there will be no obstacles along the way. However, I wonder what General Feng wants to transport to the celestial pole continent to trade with the enemy?" Feng Jixing smiled and said, "General, look at those merchant ships with red sides. They are all my ships. You can go and have a look at the goods yourself." Qianfeng led the crowd and galloped away. They dismounted and boarded the ship. The ship was filled with heavy boxes. When Qianfeng tore open the seal of one of the boxes, it was covered with straw. When the straw was separated, they could see the flickering golden light. They were gold ingots the size of fists. "Oh my God, gold!" Qianfeng was shocked. Feng Jixing nodded and said, "You left these treasures before he went into seclusion. In the past few months, we have mined many rich gold mines and cast countless gold ingots. However, the resources in the empire are poor and we can't afford so many gold ingots. Instead of this, why don't we transport these gold ingots to the Tianji Empire and use our gold to buy their horses, ironware, demonic spirit stones, beautiful women, and so on?" Qianfeng was at a loss. "They even want to buy beautiful women. Didn't His Highness you issue a decree to prohibit the sale of human beings? Times have changed. What's more, we're buying women who are suffering in other countries. We'll just buy them and treat them well." Qianfeng glared at Feng Jixing, feeling that this person wasn't too reliable. He said, "Demonic spirit stones are forbidden to be bought and sold in the celestial greatness continent. Who are you planning to buy them from? Could it be that General Feng has already established a connection with the Chamber of Commerce in the Heavenly Pole continent?" "No, but I don't need to do anything at all. The buyer has already been found." "How so?" "The cargo ship will sail directly to the Xishan province of the Tianji Empire and stop at the port of the Xishan province to trade. You can rest assured that the people of the Xishan province are all our people." Qianfeng's eyes lit up. He smiled and said, "Is it Si Kong Yao, the commandery princess of Shiping?" The marshal is a smart man. He figured it out immediately. "Ha, Commander Yu is indeed brilliant. She left 2 chess pieces, Si Kong Yao and Lu Bai, in the Heavenly Pole continent. At the critical moment, they will definitely have a miraculous effect of turning the situation around." "Ha!" Feng Jixing also had a smug look on his face. Qianfeng laughed dryly. He suddenly stopped and asked, That? Does the heavenly pole continent need coolies? If they do, I have more than 10,000 armor demons here to provide them. Each of them can be exchanged for 500 kilograms of ironware. Didn't you say that the armor demons are treasures? What? Do you want to sell them now? Alas, after the worm nest started operating again, a lot of armor demons have hatched. These idiots can eat a lot. The cattle and sheep I raise in the 8 wastelands are not enough at all. Now I've started to organize fishing and let the armor demons eat the fish and shrimp in the sea. They actually don't like to eat them and are very picky. Feng Jixing raised his sword-like eyebrows. Picky about seafood? I think these armor demons are tired of living. Actually, I have a good idea. Don't you also feed a dozen giant flying snakes? Since the hatching of the armor demons can't be controlled, we can feed the giant flying snakes with the armor demons. The corner of Qianfeng's mouth twitched. Damn you, Feng Jixing. There's really nothing you can't do. Come on. During the war between humans and demons, your armor demons ate a lot of human flesh. Many orders were directly conveyed by you, Qianfeng. I haven't even settled this account with you yet. You're bringing up the old account again. You're really narrow-minded than His Highness you. Who said that? Say it again. I said it. While the two of them were arguing until their faces were flushed, a human general galloped over and leaped onto the cargo ship. He said respectfully, "Sirs, please don't quarrel anymore. In another 2 hours, our other 50 cargo ships will arrive. Each of them has a load of about 50,000 jin. This time, there will be a total of 62 cargo ships transporting gold ingots to the celestial pole continent. Based on the gold price of the Tianji Empire, even 200 large cargo ships may not be able to deliver the goods we've purchased. The merchant ships we've sent are simply not enough." Qianfeng frowned and said, "Yes, how can we solve this problem?" Feng Jixing smiled and said, "You're really good for nothing except fighting. Use your brain. Since we have gold, and the main currency in circulation in the celestial pole continent is gold ingots, Si Kongyao has the right to mint gold coins in Shiping Province. The gold coins she mints can be circulated throughout the continent. It's easy to do things with gold. She will naturally buy merchant ships from various seaports in the celestial pole continent. When we went, there were 62 cargo ships, and when we came back, there were at least 500. Good heavens, Qianfeng took a deep breath and said, 500 merchant ships will arrive in half a month. Won't we be rich? Feng Jixing patted his shoulder and said with a smile, "Yes, you're rich. Do you still want to marry concubines? This silver scale port is your territory. You can get 7 or 8 concubines just by charging a small docking fee for the merchant ships." Go away. Am I that kind of person? Qianfeng refused angrily. In reality, ever since Feng Jing died, Qianfeng had been alone. He had never thought of having another woman. Sometimes he thought back to the past. No matter how bad Feng Jinger's temper was, no matter how unruly and headstrong she was the only one. Thinking of this, Qianfeng glanced at Feng Jixing and found that he was looking at the boxes of gold ingots reluctantly. Qianfeng smiled. Feng Jixing looked carefree on the outside, but he was actually very meticulous. Feng Jixing had always been single and had never thought of marrying a concubine. No one knew who was hidden in the depths of his heart. He was like a mysterious man. Feng Jixing looked at the gold ingots and his heart couldn't bear to part with them. His face was full of reluctance. 1 gold ingot could be minted into at least 100 Jinlin coins, and in the fragrant boudoir in the imperial capital, Lanyan City, 100 gold coins could buy him half a month of wine and 2 girls every night. Thinking about it, it was such a pity. 2 days later, in Shiping City. Outside the city lord's residence, the sound of the guards training soared into the sky and the courtyard was filled with the singing of birds and the fragrance of flowers. Si Kongyao was dressed in a tight-fitting Tianji Empire's senior female officer uniform as she sat on a chair among the flowers. Her 2 long legs were propped up on the stone table as she took the letter from Lu Bai's hands and stretched lazily before opening the letter. Lu Bai took a look at Si Kongyao's chest and thighs and could not help but swallow his saliva. "You are not allowed to look." Si Kongyao glared at him. Yes, I won't look, I won't look. Lu Bai was trembling with fear. Si Kongyao was the kind of woman that was prepared for him. A man who could have an unruly little woman like Si Kongyao must be a man like Lin Muyu who had both strength and power. It was probably because of this that Si Kongyao relied on and liked Lin Muyu so much. Si Kongyao glanced at the letter and immediately crumpled it into a ball. What did the people in Lanyan City say? Lu Bai asked. Si Kongyao stretched lazily again and said, the first batch of gold ingots will arrive in about 10 days. There are a total of 60 cargo ships and each ship is filled with gold ingots. Wow, then won't we be rich? Look at how promising you are. Si Kongyao raised the corner of her mouth and said with a smile, but we are indeed rich. Take out half of these gold ingots to purchase supplies and keep the other half as the inventory for Bai Zai's mercenaries. The Shattered Cauldron realm is indeed rich in resources. No wonder the three empires want to conquer the Shattered Cauldron realm so much. These ships of gold ingots will probably dazzle the eyes of the merchants in the celestial pole continent. Lu Bai said, then, should we build a few large refineries to produce more gold coins? No need. Wouldn't that take a longer time to convert the gold ingots into money? Si Kongyao stood up and said with a smile, tomorrow, summon the people from the various chambers of commerce and call the merchants from the Celestial Empire and the Blackstone Empire. I want to talk to them about using gold ingots for direct transactions and have them search for supplies from all over. Most of them are military supplies. I'm afraid they won't be easy to buy. Don't worry. How many of these merchants have clean hands? As long as you give them money, there's nothing they can't get. Si Kongyao puffed out her well-developed chest and said confidently, the three great empires are in constant war, and the governance of the various regions has long been unable to keep up with their wishes. Now, as long as you have money, you can get whatever resources you want. Don't you believe me? Our West Mountain Province and the Fire Element Province are pretty much the two great provinces with the best security in the entire celestial great continent. I believe you, I believe you. I'll believe anything you say. Lu Bai nodded helplessly. Then I'll go and do it now? Go, bring a few more people. You, as the leader of Bai Zai's mercenaries, have a high position and are very weak. If you don't bring a few more people, you'll be assassinated. None of those merchants are easy to deal with. Yao, you're about to step into the God Emperor realm. Why don't you protect me personally? To you shameless fellow. What qualifications do you have for me to protect you personally? Go and choose from the guards of our God realm. Pick the ugliest ones to go with you. Why the ugliest? This suits you better. Si Kongyao chuckled softly. She lifted the cloak and draped it over her fragrant shoulders, then swayed her round buttocks as she walked into the main hall. Her newly developed and voluptuous body was especially enchanting under the uniform, causing Lu Bai to involuntarily swallow a mouthful of saliva. Motherf asterisk her, why is this annoying little seductress so devastatingly beautiful, yet I can't touch her? Although Lu Bai's strength and status were rising day by day, he still had self-awareness. Si Kongyao was the first person in the entire West Mountain Province that he could not touch. After all, the two people behind her were Si Kongming and Lin Muyu. Neither of them were existences that he could afford to offend. Chapter 1066. 6 days in the Shattered Cauldron Realm, 2 months in the 64 domains. It was almost noon, and the scorching sun was scorching the earth. The 64 domains welcomed another scorching hot summer. The domain castle in the Starfall domain had a new owner. It had been occupied by the Dragon League more than a month ago. Zheng Xian led the defeated soldiers and fled without a trace. As a result, the Dragon League seized the domain castle in the Earth-bearing domain. Since then, the Dragon League had taken control of 6 domain castles. More than half of the 11 southern domains had been swallowed by the Dragon League, and the Dragon League had the momentum to unify the south. On the domain castle in the Starfall domain, a cool breeze was blowing, but it brought scorching heat waves. Lin Muyu stood on the edge of the city wall, watching the bare-chested servant army and some God-state warriors training outside the city. The Starfall domain had unknowingly become the strategic frontier of the Dragon League. Whether it was the revenge of the Fire Lion domain in the western region or the coveting of the Heaven-devouring domain in the middle region, they would start from here. It's so hot. Tang Xiaoxi was wearing a red short skirt, and her exquisite and curvy figure was extremely charming. She waved her fan and said, "Moo, when will Murong Tianxing and the others arrive? We'll just wait like this?" "Well, do you want to go and greet them?" Lin Muyu chuckled, turned to look at Tang Xiaoxi, and then looked at Qin Yin, who was quietly cultivating under the eaves of the city tower, and said, "Xiao Shi, look at Xiao Yin, she can stand still, but you are the only one complaining about the heat." The corners of Tang Xiaoxi's mouth raised slightly. "I cultivate the law of fire, so my body is originally very hot, not to mention the weather is too hot, like a big furnace, it's so hot. You can only cool down when you calm down. Learn from Xiao Yin." "No, you'll teach me the jade snow ice of the star technique, right? Come on, you can't even learn the first appearance of the star technique, let alone the jade snow ice." At this time, Qin Yin, who had been standing still, slowly opened her starry eyes. Rays of light energy fluttered around her like snowflakes. She smiled and said, "You too, stop arguing. Xiao Shi, why don't we go to the cave of gods and demons to cultivate in 2 days? It's cool there, and we can avoid the heat." Okay, Mumu will come with us. I have to deal with the merger of the southern region's 11 southern regions. Okay, I'll wait for you. Just at this moment, a surge of energy surged from outside, and shwa shwa shwa, silhouettes appeared one after another outside the domain castle. It was the domain lords of the 5 southern regions. Murong Tianxing, Xinjun, Jiangyuyang, and the others were all present. Lin Muyu's figure flashed, and she broke through the void, appearing outside the domain castle. She cupped her fists and smiled. "It's been a long time, domain lords." Murong Tianxing looked deeply at Lin Muyu, and he could feel that Lin Muyu's aura was endless, and there were actually 87 divine waves. He couldn't help but exclaim in admiration, and cupped his fists. "It's been a long time. In just 2 months, Alliance leader Lin's cultivation has broken through to such a level, it's amazing and enviable." Lin Muyu smiled lightly. "It's just luck, it's all luck. Domain lords, please enter the domain castle, we've already prepared a banquet. Once you arrive, we'll start the banquet immediately." Xinjun squinted his eyes, and smiled. "Alliance leader Lin, I heard that Fiery Lion region's domain lord Zhuang Fei was killed by you." Lin Muyu was startled. "I didn't. Where did domain lord Xin hear this from?" "Zhuang Fei tried to attack Dragon City, but he was killed by a friend of mine." Alliance leader Lin's friend is the one who destroyed Spirit Wind region and Ancient Desolate region by herself, Fairy Xiao, right? What's the point of saying this? Let's enter the domain castle first. In the Starfall domain, the longevity altar had already been repaired, and the reception hall was located within the longevity altar. After Lin Muyu gave the order, the servants began to prepare the banquet. The sun slowly set, and dusk arrived. The weather was still hot, and there were maids who were scantily dressed coming and going. However, most of them were cultivators, and most of them had already lost interest in the affairs of men and women in the mortal world. For people like Murong Tianxing, they couldn't even be bothered to look at those gorgeously dressed maids. Wine and meat were already prepared, and the moment they arrived, they immediately took out dishes from the ice cellar. The aroma of wine filled the air, and Feng Zhan Lin, Feng Zhan Hai, and the rest of the drunkards immediately became excited. Lin Muyu sat on the host's seat, while Qin Yin and Tang Xiaoxi sat on the right. Feng Zhan Lin and Mochi Lin sat on the left, followed by Gomang and Zhulong. As for Emperor Jiang and Chang Liang, they were too frightening, so they didn't attend. Moreover, they didn't like this kind of occasion, preferring a free and unfettered life. "Come, domain lords, let's have a toast." Lin Muyu raised her cup. The present was different from the past, and Lin Muyu's status was completely different from 2 months ago. No one dared to be negligent, and they all raised their cups and drained it in one gulp. Silver River region's domain lord, Jiangyuyang, put down his cup and looked at Gomang and Zhulong with burning eyes. "These two are? Oh, I forgot to introduce them. Lin Muyu said apologetically, "This is Gomang, and this is Zhu Long, 2 of the 12 ancient shamans, and also my right-hand men." The 12 ancient shamans? Jiang Yuyang's body trembled, and he said, "Are they the subordinates of Qi Yu who fought against the Yellow Emperor Xian Yuan? So the domain lord also knows us." Zhu Long smiled lightly. Jiang Yuyang hurriedly bowed and said, "So it's the 2 seniors. This junior has been impolite. Our Yin River domain is originally the descendants of the Yellow Emperor. Although war god Qi Yu was defeated, we are still ancestors, so the 2 of you are also seniors." Murong Tianxing squinted his eyes and smiled. "How did the 2 of you get to know Alliance Lord Lin?" Gomang said concisely, "We didn't get to know each other, but Lin Muyu has already received the inheritance of the ancestral god. He is now the new master of the 4 great shamans, and the new leader of the Jiuli tribe." Murong Tianxing was shocked. At this time, Xinjun smiled and said, "The 2 of you have a long breath, and your strength is unfathomable. Can you let us juniors experience it?" "You want to experience it?" Zhu Long laughed and said, "Then I'll let you experience it." With that said, Zhu Long suddenly bellowed. Beams of intense light burst out of his body, and at the next moment, the originally tranquil hall plunged into chaos. Pythons and demonic dragons danced in a frenzy as they pounced over. The ground trembled, and the floor of the hall cracked in the blink of an eye. Lightning flashed and thunder rumbled in the sky. A catastrophe was right in front of them. "What?" Xinjun and Jiang Yuyang stood up, as if they were facing a great enemy. "Zhu Long, enough is enough," Lin Muyu said softly. "Yes, leader." Zhu Long smiled and flipped his palm, which was originally flipped open, and lightly landed on the table. Immediately, the illusion disappeared, and Xinjun and Jiang Yuyang stood in the air, with their weapons drawn, and were on guard. Murong Tianxing and the others immediately laughed. "Territory Lord Xin, Territory Lord Jiang, you are too nervous," Murong Tianxing said. "That was?" Jiang Yuyang was shocked. "That was just an illusion." Zhu Long smiled and said, "But if Territory Lord likes it, I can make the illusion real." "There is no need for that. I have already experienced it." Murong Tianxing cupped his fists and said, "Congratulations, Alliance Lord Lin, for obtaining the help of seniors like Gomang and Zhu Long. Now, the Dragon League has the strength to fight against the heaven-devouring realm. I wonder what Alliance Lord Lin plans to do in the future? This is the reason I invited you all here." Lin Muyu looked at everyone with a burning gaze and said, "You all already know that I, Lin Muyu, am from the Eastern Divine Realm. I came here to cultivate, but now I have changed my original intention. I want to borrow the strength of everyone in the 64 domains to strengthen the Eastern Divine Realm, and bring everyone away from the 64 domains to the Eastern Divine Realm to enjoy eternal life, as well as the worship and offerings of the people." "Very tempting." Murong Tianxing smiled indifferently. Xinjun said slowly, "But the price is that the 5 domains will have to submit to the Dragon League, right?" Lin Muyu couldn't help but laugh, and shook her index finger, and said, "Not submit, but join the Dragon League's alliance. Divided, weak, united. The 64 domains will be united soon, and everyone can choose to join the Dragon League or the Heaven-Devouring Realm. In any case, there will be a war between the Dragon League and the Heaven-Devouring Realm, and this war is unavoidable." Jiang Yuyang said, "Doesn't that mean we'll have to change sides?" Lin Muyu nodded and smiled. "That's right, join the Dragon League and no longer exist as a domain. The era of domains is about to end." Xinjun squinted and smiled and said, "So, what about joining the Dragon League? What about not joining?" Lin Muyu took a deep breath and said, "It's simple. The Heaven-Devouring Realm is also forming alliances with other forces, and our Dragon League's plan is to annex the 17 domains in the Western region. Gomang, Candle Dragon, Dijiang, and Changliang will each lead a force to the Western region, and conquer the forces in the Western region one by one. But before that, I want to unify the Southern region. Your 5 domains are between the Dragon League and the Heaven-Devouring Realm. Even if you don't join the Dragon League, you will still be destroyed by the Heaven-Devouring Realm. So, I invite you to join the Dragon League. The region lords of the 5 regions put down their wine cups and looked at each other. This was indeed a Hongmen banquet. Murong Tianxing slowly stood up and said respectfully, "Leader Lin, will you treat us like brothers?" "Of course." "Good. The Skyline domain is willing to join the Dragon League and become a member of the Dragon League." "Welcome." Lin Muyu turned to the attendant and said, "Record it down, there is another domain besides the 4 domains of the Dragon League, and its leader is Murong Tianxing." "Yes, leader." This, Xinjun, Jiang Yuyang, and the others looked at each other. The Skyline domain was the strongest of the 5 domains. Who would have thought that Murong Tianxing would join the Dragon League so easily? After a while, Xinjun said in a low voice, "Leader Lin, if the 4 domains don't want to join the Dragon League, what will you do?" Lin Muyu smiled. "If I don't take it, the bandits will. Instead of letting the heaven-devouring region devour you all to strengthen themselves, why don't I do it myself?" If the 4 region lords are not willing to join the Dragon Alliance, then please return to prepare for battle and wait for the Dragon Alliance's army to sweep through. Chapter 1067. Xinjun and others were all silent. After a long time, Jiang Yuyang cupped his hands and said, "Yinjiang region is willing to join the Dragon League." Then Xinjun and others also expressed their willingness to join the Dragon League. Sure enough, there was no strategy more effective than blackmail in the world in the face of absolute strength. Lin Muyu nodded cheerfully. "Come on, record that the Dragon League will set up another Jili region outside the 5 regions. Gomang and Candle Dragon will be the rulers of the region. Half of the forces of Yinjiang region, Fongjin region, Fiery Qilin region and Leiqi region will be sent to Jiuli region, and the other half will be equally distributed to the other 5 regions. Xinjun's face instantly became gloomy. "Leader, why does the Tianxing region form its own force, but we are reorganized and divided?" "Because it's too late." Lin Muyu glanced at him coldly and said, "But it doesn't matter. As long as you serve the Dragon League and the Eastern Divine Realm well in the future, don't you worry about wealth?" Xinjun nodded. "Yes." Lin Muyu raised her wine cup and said, "I know that the 4 domain lords feel aggrieved, but Gomang and Torch Dragon are ancient gods with strength above the 95th grotto heaven. It's not an injustice to have them rule over the 4 domains. Perhaps, you can even learn some ancient mystic techniques from the 2 ancestral magi to raise your cultivation. Why not?" Jiang Yuyang nodded and said with a smile, "That's right. Leader, you see it clearly. We should also be more open-minded. If we haggle over every little thing, we will all become little women. We don't look like demigods at all." Everyone laughed, and the originally hostile atmosphere was instantly diluted. 3 days later, according to Lin Muyu's order, almost all the people from the 5 regions came to the Falling Star domain. As a result, the Dragon League's strength skyrocketed. There were 104 celestial emperors, more than 1,400 divine kings, more than 6,000 hierarch experts, and nearly 8,000 divine realm experts. The strength of the Dragon League was more than enough to look down on the 64 regions. It was a force that could play an important role in any divine domain. Lin Muyu's style was swift and decisive. That night he ordered the 4 Grand Wizards to lead 4 teams to the west and take away half of their forces. Meanwhile he, Tang Xiaoxi, Qin Yin, and the others guarded the Falling Star area, which was the territory of the Dragon League. Just like that, a vigorous war of conquest began in the territories of the 64 domains. The 4 great ancestral sorcerers were so powerful that they were almost invincible in the 64 domains. Even Situ Yun, the domain lord of the heaven-devouring territory, was only at the 97th level of the Grotto Heaven realm. His strength was not above that of Gomang or Torch Dragon. Therefore, when the Dragon League attacked the cities and territories, the heaven-devouring territory did not dare to do anything. Half a month later, the 4 great ancestral sorcerers destroyed the Fiery Lion territory, the Eternal territory, and the other 17 domains in the western region, which were on the verge of destruction. Most of the cultivators in those domains joined the Dragon League, which doubled the strength of the Dragon League. With the strength of the 17 domains added to the 6 domains of the Dragon League, the total number of God State warriors in the Dragon League was over 10,000, reaching nearly 16,000. While the Dragon League was sitting on the throne of the 64 domains, the heaven-devouring territory finally made a move. In August, in just 7 days, 12 domains in the north of the 64 domains, including Du Xing's Gale domain, announced that they would join the heaven-devouring territory. In the following 3 days, 13 of the 15 domains in the east announced that they would join the heaven-devouring territory. Only Nangong Lai's Mystic Heaven domain and Ling Songhan's Wind Spirit domain refused Sidu Yun's invitation. The entire 64 domains had become a confrontation between the two camps. No one knew what the final result would be. Late at night, in the domain castle in the Falling Star domain, it was a bit chilly. Under the candlelight, Lin Muyu sat under the window and read the Octaterra map that Luo Tianji had given her in the Sacred Relic. This book mainly talked about the war between the gods in ancient times and some ancient anecdotes. Knock, knock. Feng Zhanlin knocked on the door and said, "Leader, are you asleep?" Lin Muyu put down the book, put on her coat and stood up. She looked behind her and saw Tang Xiaoxi and Qin Yin sleeping peacefully on the big bed. She didn't want to disturb them. She walked straight to the hall and opened the door. Feng Zhanlin was standing outside, dripping with dew. Even his eyelashes were covered with dew. "How long have you been standing under the tree?" Lin Muyu asked. Feng Zhanlin was a bit embarrassed. "Not long, about 4 to 6 hours. Lin Muyu smiled. "Sit down. You came to me because of the Mystic Heaven domain, right?" Feng Zhanlin knelt on one knee and said, "Leader, Nangong Lai and I are like brothers. Now, only Nangong Lai and Ling Songhan haven't surrendered to the heaven-devouring realm. Situ Yun is an arrogant ancient god. Before the heaven-devouring realm attacks the Dragon League, they will definitely kill Nangong Lai. I can't bear to see Nangong Lai end up like that." Lin Muyu slowly sat down and took a sip of tea. "Leader, you want me to order the Dragon League to send reinforcements to the Mystic Heaven domain and fight against the heaven-devouring realm?" "Yes, there will be a battle sooner or later. We should take advantage of the fact that Nangong Lai is still alive." "What makes you think that the heaven-devouring realm won't ambush us?" Feng Zhanlin's forehead was dripping with sweat. "I'm not sure if the heaven-devouring realm will plot against us, but I can't watch the Mystic Heaven domain be destroyed. Nangong Lai is a talent. We should fight for him." Lin Muyu looked at him indifferently. "What do you think the odds are for us to win the battle against the heaven-devouring realm?" Feng Zhanlin hesitated and said, "The Dragon League has more than 200 god emperors, 3,000 god kings, and 10,000 hierarch experts. The heaven-devouring realm has more than 300 god emperors, 5,000 god kings, and 20,000 hierarch experts. If we really fight, I'm afraid the odds are 50-50. You know it's not a sure win, so don't take the risk. Leader, do you know what I sent the Candle Dragon clan to do?" Feng Zhanlin frowned and said, "I know a little. The Candle Dragon clan ancestor has led more than 2,000 god realm experts to the western region. But I don't know the intention of the Alliance Master. His intention is simple. Situ Yun has almost unified the middle, northern, and eastern regions, but not all of the people from the 34 regions are in the heaven-devouring region. So, if Situ Yun wants to gather his forces to fight the Dragon League, the northern region will definitely be empty. At that time, Torch Dragon will naturally sweep through all the domain castles in the northern region and make the 12 northern regions homeless." Feng Zhanlin hesitated and said, "Leader, are you planning to use the Candle Dragon clan to contain the heaven-devouring realm and slowly exhaust them?" "Yes, I need time." "What time?" "When Shi Yan awakens the wings of Seraph." "What do you mean?" "Shi Yan's wings of Seraph will only be truly awakened after she reaches the 80th heaven, which means that her strength will recover to about 60% of her peak. Currently, Shi Yan is cultivating in the Cave of Gods and Demons. She'll need about 3 months to break through to the 80th heaven. I won't fight the heaven-devouring realm during this time. I can only rely on the Candle Dragon clan to hold them back." "I see." Feng Zhanlin clenched his fists and said, "So we're not doing anything before that?" "Of course not. Get ready. We'll set off at dawn to save Nangong Lai and the Mystic Heaven Realm. Just the two of us? That's enough." Lin Muyu smiled meaningfully. "It'll be inconvenient if more people go." Feng Zhanlin, when the sun rose in the east, two figures flew out of the falling star domain. A spatial rift appeared in the sky, and in the blink of an eye, they were already dozens of kilometers away. The falling star domain and the Mystic Heaven Realm were more than 500 kilometers apart, but if Lin Muyu and Feng Zhanlin flew at full speed, they would arrive in an hour. "Domain Master, how confident are you? You'd better tell me. Otherwise, I'll always be uneasy," Feng Zhanlin said in a low voice. Lin Muyu smiled faintly and suddenly took out a dagger with golden runes from her Qiankuan bag. "Do you know this?" she asked. "Fuxi's heavenly book?" Feng Zhanlin turned pale with fright. "That's right. It's a high-quality divine book. It can teleport everyone within 100 meters, and the distance can be up to 100 kilometers. Therefore, even if the realm of Mystic Heaven is surrounded by people from the realm of Heaven Devouring, we can still escape with our people. The only thing we need to do is inform Nangong Lai to get ready and gather everyone." "Yes, I understand." Feng Zhanlin was overjoyed. After thinking for a few times, he said, "Faction Master, it's done." Before long, Lin Muyu looked ahead with a frown and said, "Suppress your aura and fly close to the branches. We've run into an ambush." "An ambush?" "Yes, it's people from the realm of Heaven Devouring." Feng Zhanlin looked into the distance. Indeed, there was a faint killing intent in the forest, and he could vaguely sense wisps of divine power. Most of them were god kings. As he had expected, the people from the realm of Heaven Devouring had surrounded the realm of Mystic Heaven to lure the people from the Dragon League into their trap. Unfortunately, only 2 people from the Dragon League had come, and they left very quickly. In the distance, a silver fortress appeared in the rising sun. They had arrived at the realm of Mystic Heaven. A few kilometers away from the realm of Mystic Heaven, people from the realm of Heaven Devouring could be seen everywhere. There were thousands of them, and all of them were God Realm experts. Lin Muyu said in a low voice, "Go into the fortress as fast as you can. Don't wait for Nangong Lai to open the door. Follow me." Some people on the ground had already discovered their tracks. Someone even shouted, "Someone is coming! Kill them!" But it was too late. Lin Muyu drew the Xianyuan sword, which shone with a dazzling golden light. She shouted, "All living beings in the world, listen to my command." Boom! The heavy and ferocious earth energy charged forward, causing the dozens of godly state experts in front of her to scatter. None of them could withstand Lin Muyu's attack. Bang! The Xianyuan sword pierced through the wall of the fortress, destroying the barrier and opening up a path. The 2 of them rushed into the fortress one after another, and went straight to the center of the fortress. There, Nangong Lai had gathered more than 1,000 followers. Looking at the 2 people in the distance, he smiled and said, "Finally, they have come. But they have also destroyed my fortress, damn it." Chapter 1068. A beam of golden light rose from the domain castle and shot into the sky. The power of heaven and earth rotated and began to distort the space. Lin Muyu held the heavenly tome embryo in her hand and shouted, "Everyone, stand in the heavenly tome matrix." Those who were not covered by the energy of the heavenly book flew into the sky and bathed in the holy light. They were all shocked. There were people in the 64 domains who had seen the heavenly book, but not such a high-level one. "Leader Lin, how far can we go?" Nangong Lai asked anxiously. 200 miles, Lin Muyu said. "That's enough. Let's go." Lin Muyu flicked her wrist and fully activated her energy. Immediately, endless divine power poured out and dragged everyone into a different space. In the blink of an eye, beams of golden light rose up and disappeared from the realm castle. Over 1,000 divine realm experts from the realm of Mystic Heaven had already fled 200 kilometers away. Even the experts from the realm of Heaven Devouring might not be able to catch up with them. Outside the city, the flag of the heaven-devouring territory fluttered in the wind. Standing under the flag was a man with a frown. What's going on? The aura in the castle is fading rapidly. What are they doing? Zhao Qian was shocked. The god emperors were confused. We don't know, Zhao Qian said angrily. Send people into the castle immediately. It's a trap. Without waiting for the people from the heaven-devouring domain to enter, Zhao Qian had already turned into a stream of light and rushed into the domain castle. Under the strong wind, his sturdy figure stopped in the sky above the domain castle. Looking at the empty domain castle and the remains of the teleportation array left on the ground, Zhao Qian felt the blood rush to his head and he almost fainted. Deputy Domain Master. Two god emperors quickly helped Zhao Qian and asked with concern, Deputy Domain Master, are you okay? Despicable, this is too despicable. Zhao Qian was so angry that his whole body was trembling. He said, they have all moved, using the heavenly book, a heavenly book of an unfathomably high grade. Just now, I sensed an extremely mighty divine power. It's not any weaker than mine or the governor's. It must be Lin Muyu. Lin Muyu, that despicable fellow, took Nangong Lai and the others away. Then what do we do now? If I immediately report this to the region lord, I'm afraid I won't be able to escape punishment. Then what do you want? Why don't we gather our subordinates and attack the Starfall region directly, catching Lin Muyu off guard? Currently, the Deputy Region Master can mobilize the forces of the 4 regions of Middle Sky and 6 regions of the Eastern region. There are more than 10,000 Immortal Realm Masters, which is enough to destroy the Dragon League forces in the Starfall region. Really? Zhao Qian narrowed his eyes and smiled. That's because you don't understand Lin Muyu, and you don't understand Lin Muyu's power either. Do you think that a mere 10,000 people can make Lin Muyu fall short of success? Childish. Don't act rashly. Order everyone to follow me to the realm of Wind Spirit. Lin Muyu can save those from the realm of Mystic Heaven, but she won't have time to save those from the realm of Wind Spirit. We'll let that stubborn idiot Ling Songhan know the consequences of going against the realm of Heaven Devouring. Vice Domain Chief wants to attack the realm of Wind Spirit? Why not? Yes, I understand. Activate the greedy wolf cannons. I'm going to flatten the realm castles of the realm of Wind Spirit so that they have nowhere to hide. Yes, Domain Chief. 200 miles away, golden beams of light kept falling from a mountain forest. Each beam of light was an Immortal Realm Master. In the blink of an eye, over 1,000 Immortal Realm Masters from the realm of Mystic Heaven had all been moved to this safe area. Lin Muyu was the last to arrive. The glow of the spiritual artifact embryo in her hand gradually dimmed. She asked, You didn't leave anyone behind, did you? Nangong Lai turned around, dropped to one knee, and said, The realm of Mystic Heaven thanks Lord Lin for saving our lives. As soon as the Realm Master knelt, all the members of the realm of Mystic Heaven followed suit and said loudly, The realm of Mystic Heaven thanks Lord Lin for saving our lives. Lin Muyu smiled and said, Don't kneel. Get up. We're on the same side now. I'm sure you won't refuse to join the Dragon League, will you? Nangong Lai laughed. That's if the Dragon League has an endless supply of wine. Of course it does. Nangong Lai of the realm of Mystic Heaven pays his respects, Lord Lin. Lin Muyu slowly put away the spiritual artifact embryo and said, All right, let's go to the realm of Falling Star. We'll be safe there in case the realm of Heaven Devouring chases us. Nangong Lai frowned. What's wrong? Lin Muyu asked in surprise. Nangong Lai took a deep breath and said with determination in his eyes, Lord, before you came, I made an agreement with Ling Songhan, the master of the realm of Wind Spirit, to fight against the realm of Heaven Devouring together. Now the realm of Mystic Heaven is out of danger, but the realm of Wind Spirit is still in trouble. Ling Songhan and I have been friends for many years. How can I, Nangong Lai, abandon a friend? Feng Zhanlin said, Lord, as Nangong said, the realm of Heaven Devouring will definitely target the realm of Wind Spirit because they didn't attack the realm of Mystic Heaven. This means that the realm of Wind Spirit will take the blame for the Dragon League. Once this gets out, the reputation of the Dragon League will be greatly damaged. How many people from the realm of heaven devouring are there outside the realm of wind spirit? Lin Muyu asked lightly. They're only guarding the realm of wind spirit, and they've only sent over 1,000 God realm experts. Together with the 2,000 under Zhao Qian's command, there are over 3,000 God realm experts in total. Over 3,000? Lin Muyu remained calm and smiled like a general. It seems that the gap in strength is not that big. The realm of wind spirit has over 1,000 God realm experts, and we have nearly 3,000 here. We're evenly matched with them. As long as we can kill Zhao Qian and end the battle quickly, even Situ Yun won't be able to help us in time. That's right, Nangong Lai nodded cheerfully and said, the realm of mystic heaven is willing to fight to the death for our ally. Lin Muyu frowned and said, but even if we win, we'll suffer great losses. It doesn't matter. We're willing to pay the price. Nangong Lai said proudly, the realm of heaven devouring has always been arrogant in Middle Heaven, and they've never taken small realms like the realm of mystic heaven and the realm of wind spirit seriously. They've always wanted to destroy us, and now they've finally shown their ferocious side. If it weren't for the Dragon League, I'm afraid the 64 realms would have been unified by the realm of heaven devouring. Lin Muyu pondered for a long time. At this moment, two powerful auras suddenly appeared in the detection range of the spiritual pulse spell. Immediately, Lin Muyu smiled and said, then prepare to go to the realm of wind spirit as soon as possible. Feng Zhanlin was stunned. Why did you decide so quickly, Lord? Because our chances of winning have increased by 20%. As expected, light flashed twice in the sky, and two beautiful figures appeared in the sky. They were Qin Yin and Tang Xiaoxi. The two girls had already put on their martial attire. Qin Yin was wearing the glass phoenix armor, a third-class divine artifact from the holy remains. It was a delicate armor, with knee pads and wrist guards, covering nearly 1/3 of Qin Yin's beautiful body. The rest of her body was exposed. Her snow-white skin and healthy and graceful curves were undoubtedly highlighted, and she was breathtakingly beautiful. Tang Xiaoxi's armor was a set of Nua's flame armor, also a set of 3 divine artifacts. It was said that Nua had used the multicolored stone to protect her body, and it was used to resist strong flames. No one knew whether it was true or not, but the requirements to wear this flame armor were very high. The outline of the chest armor was undulating, and it was imaginable that Goddess Nua's figure must have been very good. Fortunately, Tang Xiaoxi's figure was also very good, and it was enough for her to wear this armor. Nangong Lai couldn't help but take a second look and exclaimed, there are so many beautiful women in the Dragon League. Lin Muyu smiled and said, Xiao Yin, Xiao Shi, didn't I ask you to guard the falling star field? Qin Yin pouted and said, you left without saying a word. Xiao Shi and I were worried about you, so we followed you. Don't worry about the falling star field. There are thousands of people at the divine realm guarding there, and no one will be stupid enough to attack the falling star field. Tang Xiaoxi smiled sweetly and said, why? Don't you welcome us to help, Mu? No, you are welcome. Now we just need your strength. Lin Muyu said this from the bottom of her heart. After all, the strength of the heaven-devouring realm could not be underestimated. With the two main deities, Qin Yin and Tang Xiaoxi, they naturally had a higher chance of winning. After a brief arrangement of the deployment, they immediately flew in the direction of the wind spirit field, which was less than 100 miles away from the wind spirit field. They would arrive soon, and the people of the heaven-devouring realm would also arrive at about the same time. They had to arrive before the heaven-devouring realm broke through the wind spirit field, or they would be controlled by others. In the wind spirit field, a silver fortress stood on a plain. This fortress had existed for thousands of years, and had nurtured generations of divine realm masters. However, today, the wind spirit field was facing a mortal enemy. In the sky above the fortress, a young expert looked outside the city with sharp eyes. It was the lord of the heaven-devouring realm, Ling Songhan. The people of the heaven-devouring realm are here, Lord, the deputy lord, who was watching from afar, said loudly. I know. Ling Songhan landed quickly, looked into the distance and said, They seem to have brought heavy artillery. Is it the greedy wolf cannons? Yes, a total of 6 cannons. The deputy lord's eyes were full of deep worry. Lord, what should we do now? Ling Songhan smiled coldly and said, What can we do? We'll deal with it when it comes. It's not the first time we've come out to fight. Once the reinforcements arrive, immediately open the city gate and swarm in. The people that Zhao Qian brought with him are not united, but a mixed army from several domains. As long as we stake everything in one throw, they will definitely lose. Yes, Lord. Just as Ling Songhan said, the heaven-devouring realm was not willing to use their own divine realm masters to annihilate the mystic heaven field and the wind spirit field. The people they sent were just a motley crew. In the distance, Zhao Qian stood still, raised his arm and said, There's no need to wait. Greedy wolf cannons, blow up the wind spirit field. Yes, Lord. The heavy cannons that were filled with ammunition from God unleashed their might. Tongues of flame shot into the sky, and in the blink of an eye, a few bombs exploded on the walls of the castle, causing the enchantment to buzz. The enchantment began to crack, and what was even worse was that after the bombs exploded, magma flowed out like blood, continuously melting the defensive gemstones of the castle. The greedy wolf cannons were originally a kind of siege weapon that only the people of the heaven-devouring realm had developed. This time, they finally used it. Chapter 1069. Hiss, hiss. The sound of the city wall melting seemed to burn the hearts of every member of the wind spirit region. This fortress was their ancestral home, but now it was disappearing under the power of the greedy wolf cannons. Zhao Qian, you'll die a horrible death. Ling Songhan roared at the enemies in the distance. Zhao Qian laughed. Winner takes all. Lord Ling Songhan, it's not too late for you to surrender to the heaven-devouring realm. What do you say? Make your decision. Ling Songhan's eyes were burning. Zhao Qian must die. The heaven-devouring realm must die. Bastard! Zhao Qian roared. Keep bombing. I'm going to turn the wind spirit region into a scorched land. I'm going to turn all the women in the wind spirit region into slaves. I'm going to turn all the children in the wind spirit region into sinful slaves. Kill them. The bombardment continued, and in the blink of an eye, the entire wall of the domain fortress in the realm of wind spirit was almost melted into a pile of debris. But at this moment, a strong aura appeared in the domain fortress. Reinforcements had finally arrived. Swoosh! Moving like a meteor, Lin Muyu rushed into the crowd of the heaven-devouring realm like a bolt of lightning with the Xianyuan sword in her hand. Sword light flashed continuously, and 2 greedy wolf cannons were instantly turned into scrap iron. Behind her, Feng Zhanlin, Nangong Lai, and the others roared and attacked. More and more people came, and fierce storms surged outside the city. In the other 2 directions, Qin Yin and Tang Xiaoxi each led hundreds of God State experts to launch a fierce attack, forming a triangular attack on the people under Zhao Qian's command. As long as the people of the wind spirit region in the city attacked together, they would be able to surround them. Don't show mercy. Kill. Lin Muyu ordered loudly. In the blink of an eye, more than 10 gods had died under the Xianyuan sword. Godheads rolled on the ground, glowing with a translucent luster. However, who would have the time to care about these godheads in the midst of a great battle? On the ground, flames and storms surged up into the sky. The gods all showed their powers and fought with their opponents. Those bastards from the Dragon League. Zhao Qian's face turned red. Fight back. The Dragon League is nothing in our territory. Fight back. As he spoke, Zhao Qian turned the saber in his hand and took the initiative to look for Lin Muyu, who was not far away. Good timing. Lin Muyu applauded loudly. The current Lin Muyu was no longer the Lin Muyu from the treasure-seizing assembly. Her strength had increased by more than 10 to 20%, while Zhao Qian's strength had almost stagnated. The disparity in strength between the 2 of them had turned into a draw. Clang. The 2 swords collided, and the chaos of the lives forced Zhao Qian to retreat several meters. Perhaps it was not that they were evenly matched, but that Lin Muyu was slightly superior. How is this possible? Zhao Qian was shocked. He was a 93rd Grotto Heaven Great Perfection Celestial the Arch, while Lin Muyu did not seem to have stepped into the Great Perfection Celestial the Arch realm. How did he manage to push him away and gain the upper hand in terms of strength and aura? But that was the reality. Lin Muyu smiled faintly, and a layer of gold slowly appeared on his body. He had already entered the state of immortal golden body. This could only mean one thing: he wanted to end the battle quickly. Under the state of immortal golden body, Lin Muyu could fight evenly with Zhu Long, who was at the 97th Grotto Heaven realm, or even better. Zhao Qian, who was in front of him, was far inferior to Zhu Long in terms of cultivation and state of mind. Naturally, he was not a match for Lin Muyu. Flames surged around the long sword, and streaks of stardust spread out. Lin Muyu switched from defense to offense with a sword. 5 mountains from heaven. Clang. This sword almost knocked away Zhao Qian's weapon. It was wide open and full of openings. Zhao Qian was shocked, and he hurriedly gathered his chaotic divine power to form a shield in front of his chest to protect himself. But he did not expect Lin Muyu to step on the void, and suddenly appeared behind him at an incredible speed. Shen Yuan's sword was raised, and he attacked again, for Luminary's demon god cry. He was completely at a disadvantage in terms of speed. However, Zhao Qian was, after all, a god who had been through hundreds of battles. With a furious roar, wisps of golden quicksand light flowed around his body. This was the power of samsara. He wanted to extend time to gain more space to dodge. However, at the moment when Zhao Qian used the revolving samsara wheel, Lin Muyu's blade was also covered in quicksand. Time sped up. Ah! Zhao Qian exclaimed, and hurriedly used his sword to block. He hurriedly blocked the attack and could only gather less than 50% of his divine power. On the other hand, Lin Muyu's attack contained all of her supreme divine power. It was obvious who had the upper hand, and the weapon became the scapegoat. The Xinyuan sword, which had struck with all its might, directly shattered Zhao Qian's sword. Pieces of the blade shot out in all directions like bullets. Wah! Zhao Qian groaned. The god wall on his shoulder had already been smashed by Lin Muyu. The difference in strength between the two was too great, and Zhao Qian was actually defeated within 3 moves. Quick! Save the deputy region master. A group of people attacked, but unexpectedly, Nangong Lai suddenly appeared on the right side of Lin Muyu. He swept his long sword and roared, "All of you retreat. Who dares to come forward?" The sword light swept past, and the godly state experts were forced into a difficult situation. 2 of them were even killed. Nangong Lai's reputation as the #1 person in the east of the 64 domains was not just for show. His strength was even stronger than Feng Zhan Lin, Mochi Lin, and the others. In the entire Dragon League, Nangong Lai's strength was probably second only to the 4 Grand Sorcerers. Still want to leave? Lin Muyu's faint laughter reverberated in the air. Stardust flickered in her hand, and the stardust turned into chains. Strands of silk ribbons bound Zhao Qian's injured body, so that he could not move. "Lin Muyu, what do you want?" Zhao Qian's eyes widened. "I am the Deputy Region Master of the Devouring Heaven Domain. Do you dare to kill me?" "Of course I don't dare to kill you." Lin Muyu smiled. "But I want you to bring a gift for me to Senior Situ Yun." As she spoke, Lin Muyu suddenly opened her palm, and a powerful suction force was generated in the space. Zhao Qian screamed, and his head felt like it was about to explode. The godhead in his eye trembled slowly, and Zhao Qian could not control it anymore. Soon, wisps of light appeared in front of Zhao Qian's brow, and in the blink of an eye, they formed a cast immortal lattice. It was Zhao Qian's godhead. "Ah!" Zhao Qian screamed in pain and kept begging, "Leader Lin, please stop. I'm willing to submit to you, and I'm willing to join the Dragon League. Please don't destroy my cultivation, please." Lin Muyu's voice was calm. "That's not what you said before. You said you wanted to destroy the entire Wind Spirit domain and take people's wives and children. How can I believe someone like you?" As soon as she finished speaking, Lin Muyu suddenly grabbed the cast immortal lattice and cut off the connection between it and Zhao Qian. With a miserable howl, Zhao Qian plummeted towards the ground. He had already lost his cultivation as a god, and he had even lost the ability to fly. Nangong Lai laughed. Zhao Qian has been destroyed. Do you still want to resist to the end? A saber light slashed toward his cheek. The blade was sharp, and it was at least a God-Emperor realm expert. Damn it! Nangong Lai dodged to the side. His cheek was scratched by the saber energy, and he said angrily, "Since you want to die, I'll fulfill your wish." Lin Muyu, on the other hand, held onto her godhood and leaped tens of meters into the air. The place where she was just standing had already been swallowed up by a flaming whirlpool. She did not know which gods had created this whirlpool. The battle between gods was too terrifying. It had the power to destroy the heavens and the earth. If she did not protect herself well, it would be easy for her to be swallowed up by the aftershocks. Boom, boom, boom. 3 consecutive sword energies blasted into the city wall, and instantly, the 100-meter wall of the domain castle collapsed. She didn't know which bastard did this, but she knew that the wind spirit domain was no longer habitable. Not too far away, a pillar of fire shot up into the sky. Twisting around like a tornado, it slammed into the crowd. Lin Muyu knew that this was the handiwork of Tang Xiaoxi. How tyrannical was the flame master god? The moment Tang Xiaoxi went berserk, no one would be able to get near her. On the other side, Qin Yin held the East Flower Sword and slashed several times in the air. Suddenly, several opponents were killed. "Finish it quickly!" Lin Muyu shouted. This time, they couldn't keep any captives. It was wisest to leave as soon as possible. Otherwise, once the main force of the heaven-devouring territory came, they wouldn't be able to leave even if they wanted to. In less than the time it took for an incense stick to burn, the thousands of God realm experts of the realm of heaven-devouring were defeated and fled. Nangong Lai and Ling Songhan didn't chase after them. They quickly counted the number of people and flew away without taking the treasures of the realm of wind spirit. "Leader, why didn't you kill that bastard Zhao Qian?" Ling Songhan couldn't help but frown and ask. Lin Muyu said, "Zhao Qian's godhead has been extracted by me. He's now a useless man. There's not much difference between killing him and not killing him. Don't tell me you don't want to kill him?" Ling Songhan said, "Zhao Qian destroyed my home and bullied the weak for so many years because of the heaven-devouring territory behind him. I really want to kill him. Don't worry. He's lost his cultivation now. Keeping him alive is more painful than killing him." "That's true. I still don't understand why you don't want to kill him. Killing Zhao Qian now will only anger Situ Yun. The Dragon League can't officially start a war with the heaven-devouring territory for now. At least let Zhao Qian go back alive. Situ Yun will be angry, but at least he won't feel humiliated." "Yes, I understand." Ling Songhan had just joined the Dragon League. He knew he couldn't ask too many questions. After all, even someone like Nangong Lai was respectful to Lin Muyu, the leader. He couldn't overstep his boundaries. Qin Yin flew over and opened her palm. There were a few glittering godheads. She smiled and said, "They're all heavenly Dao godheads with pure power. They can greatly speed up Sister Xian's cultivation." Lin Muyu took out Zhao Qian's forged immortal godhead and put it in her hand. She said, "This is faster. Zhao Qian's godhead is more powerful. Help me give it to Sister Xian." Chapter 1070. In the devouring heaven domain, the main hall was filled with jade-green spirit stones. Everyone had different expressions on their faces and seemed to be discussing something. Situ Yun had a weather-beaten face and looked to be in his 40s. His eyes were cold as he said, "Men, bring Deputy Domain Lord Zhao Qian in." 4 God State experts carried a stretcher and walked in. Zhao Qian was lying on it. At this moment, Zhao Qian's face was pale and his body was covered in blood. Because his godhead had been extracted, his body was like a river that had lost its water source, trembling. When everyone put him down, Zhao Qian immediately rolled on the ground and knelt there, sobbing. "Deputy Region Lord, is this the work of Lin Muyu?" Situ Yun asked. "Yes, Region Lord." "Please, Region Lord, you must uphold justice for me." Zhao Qian kowtowed repeatedly and said, Lin Muyu had the foresight and led tens of thousands of people to defeat the troops of the heaven-devouring realm. I was outnumbered and defeated, and my godhead was extracted. I hope the Domain Lord can grant me a new refined godhead, so that I can quickly regain my cultivation. You want a divine spark? Situ Yun squinted. Deputy Region Lord, do you think there's a chance for you to regain your cultivation? Of course, of course. Zhao Qian's body trembled. He suddenly turned to look at the other region lords, his eyes filled with pleading. Unexpectedly, the region lords all turned around and did not look at him. The world was fickle, and Zhao Qian had always been an arrogant villain, relying on his cultivation to do as he pleased. Now that retribution had come so quickly, the region lords could not wait for him to die. Zheng Xian of the Falling Star Domain was the only one who frowned and said, Domain Lord. Deputy Domain Lord Zhao Qian was injured because of his loyalty to the heaven-devouring domain. I hope the Domain Lord can bestow him with a godhead on account of his past contributions. I believe Deputy Domain Lord Zhao Qian will be able to serve the heaven-devouring domain again after cultivating it. Really? Situ Yun smiled faintly. Since Hall Lord Zheng Xian has said so, someone take a divine spark from the treasury and give it to Deputy Region Lord Zhao Qian to refine. Yes. A godly king's subordinate turned around and left. Zhao Qian was stunned. Only the heavenly Dao lattice? Domain Lord, we have a cast immortal lattice in our treasury. Forged immortal lattice? Situ Yun sneered. Deputy Region Master, do you think you still have the ability to refine the forged immortal lattice? Furthermore, the cast immortal lattice's spiritual power is too vigorous, and it's not suitable for the current Deputy Region Master. A heavenly Dao lattice is enough. There's still a long way to go, and recovering your strength isn't something that can be done in a day. I hope that Deputy Region Master doesn't rush things. Alright, thank you for the reward, Territorial Lord. Zhao Qian was disappointed. He stood up and was about to leave with the help of 2 Hierarch Realm experts. Deputy Region Master Zhao, don't go yet. Situ Yun suddenly said. Zhao Qian was stunned. What's wrong, Governor? Is there anything else? Yes, leave behind your Deputy Region Master's golden token. But Zhao Qian was shocked. Situ Yun said, Deputy Region Master Zhao, you need to refine and produce a new divine lattice. I'm afraid it'll take at least 1.5 years to complete. Moreover, your current condition isn't suitable to handle the affairs of the domain. Therefore, someone else will temporarily take over your position. After all, the affairs of the entire devouring heaven domain cannot be stopped. I hope that Deputy Region Master can forgive me. Once your strength is restored, the position of Deputy Region Master will naturally belong to you. Governor, Zhao Qian took out the golden token from his chest and placed it on the ground. His eyes were filled with despair. He kowtowed to Situ Yun before turning around and leaving. His figure looked very lonely. The dignified number 2 expert of the devouring heaven domain had ended up like this. It was really sad and lamentable. Zheng Xian, Du Xing and the other hall masters looked at Zhao Qian's departure with a sad expression on their faces. Perhaps Zhao Qian's present was their future. Everyone knew that the devouring heaven domain master Situ Yun was a merciless person, but no one dared to say anything. Ahem, Situ Yun lightly coughed twice and said, Zhao Qian has already been removed from the position of Deputy Region Lord. I intend to choose 2 more hall masters to take on the position of Deputy Region Lord. They will help me share my burdens. I don't know if anyone wants to recommend themselves. The dozens of hall masters were dumbfounded. They used to be the region masters of the major domains, but now standing here, they felt very insignificant. Today, the devouring heaven domain was a super large domain with tens of thousands of godly state experts. To be able to become the deputy region master of the devouring heaven domain was far more glorious than being a region master of a small domain. Among the crowd, a person stepped forward and said, I'm willing to try. I wonder if the region master thinks that I'm suitable to be the deputy region master and serve the devouring heaven domain with everyone else? The person who spoke was Du Xing, the former region master of the Gale domain of the 12 northern domains. He was a 91st level Grotto Heaven expert and one of the stronger hall masters of the Devouring Heaven domain. Ah, very good, very good. Situ Yun said, Hall Master Du Xing is a person of virtue and prestige in the northern region. You are the most suitable to be the deputy region master of the Devouring Heaven domain. Come, this position is yours from now on. Whoosh! The golden badge flew out of his hand and was caught by Du Xing the next moment. He knelt on one knee and said, Thank you, Region Master. Everyone said in unison, Congratulations, Deputy Region Master Du. Congratulations. Du Xing's face was flushed with joy. Situ Yun smiled and said, The Devouring Heaven domain is already a super large domain. A Deputy Region Master is far from enough. Is there any other hall masters who are willing to be the Deputy Region Master? The group of hall masters fell silent again. A few of them were eager to try, but they seemed to be afraid that it was not enough, so they stood there uneasily. After a while, finally, one of them walked out and knelt on one knee and said, Region Master, Xianxia is willing to try. Xianxia of the Falling Star domain was at the 87th level Grotto Heaven. In terms of cultivation, more than half of the hall masters here were stronger than him. Situ Yun squinted and said with a smile, Hall Master Xianxia's cultivation is profound and his saber skills are sharp, but in terms of cultivation level, he is not very outstanding. If you want to be the Deputy Region Master, at least give me a reason that can convince me, Situ Yun, right? My reason is hatred. Xianxia's eyes were resolute. I hate Lin Muyu, I hate the Dragon League. From the moment the treasure seizing conference began, they have been taking everything away from me. I can't wait to tear Lin Muyu, Qin Yin, Feng Zhan Lin and the others into pieces. I can't wait to crush the Dragon League and turn them into ashes. But I know that my strength is not enough, and I have to rely on everyone's strength. Even if I become the Deputy Region Master, I will just be a servant of everyone here, working for everyone, bowing and bowing, because you will avenge me and the Falling Star domain, you will kill my enemies. Good. Du Xing was the first to applaud. Situ Yun also smiled and said, But hatred is indeed a power that comes from the depths of life. Then in the future, I hope Deputy Region Master Xianxia will take care of the affairs of the Devouring Heaven domain. A golden token flew straight into Xianxia's hand. He prostrated himself on the ground, trembling with excitement or nervousness. Thank you, Domain Lord. Thank you, Hall Masters. I, Xianxia, will do my best to serve the heaven-devouring region. Get up. You are now the Deputy Region Master, one of the three venerables. Xianxia stood up and stood on both sides of Situ Yun with Du Xing. Situ Yun's eyes turned cold. Lin Muyu has repeatedly challenged the dignity of the Devouring Heaven domain, and now she has injured the former Deputy Region Master Zhao Qian. How do you think we should deal with the aggression of the Dragon League? There are tens of thousands of immortal state warriors in the Devouring Heaven domain. Why should we be afraid of the Dragon League? A hall master said in a low voice. As long as we gather our strength and rush to the south, destroy the Falling Star domain first, and then Dragon City, we will destroy the foundation of the Dragon League. Even if Lin Muyu has 3 heads and 6 arms, what can she do? That's not a good idea. Xianxia shook his head. Lin Muyu is far more powerful than Hall Master Lu thinks. Not to mention how powerful Lin Muyu's supreme godhead is, Lin Muyu's right-hand men are already very powerful. The 4 ancestral sorcerers, the Seraph Shi Yan, whose strength is rapidly recovering, and Qin Yin and Tang Xiaoxi, who are among the 12 main deities. Not to mention that the Dragon League has merged with the Mystic Heaven domain and the Wind Spirit domain. Nangong Lai and Ling Songhan are also very difficult to deal with. If we want to destroy the Dragon League, we need a long-term plan. Situ Yun smiled. What do you have in mind, Deputy Region Master Zheng? Yes, we will destroy them one by one. What do you mean? Xianxia smiled. As far as I know, Shi Yan is cultivating in the cave of gods and demons, and there are no guards around. As long as we gather the strongest immortal state warriors in the heaven-devouring realm, we will definitely be able to kill Xian, who has not yet reached her peak strength. However, there is a certain degree of danger, because Lin Muyu, Qin Yin, and Tang Xiaoxi may also be in the cave of gods and demons. Situ Yun frowned. Doesn't that mean you didn't say anything? That's not the case. There are a few other targets that we can hunt. Candle Dragon, with thousands of immortal state warriors, is in the west of us, thousands of miles away from the falling star domain where Lin Muyu is. Candle Dragon is just a chess piece used to control the falling star domain. In this case, we can kill this chess piece when it is unprepared. Kill Candle Dragon? Du Xing said, I'm afraid it won't be easy. Candle Dragon is one of the 4 ancestral sorcerers, and he is very powerful. It won't be easy to kill him. Not necessarily. Situ Yun smiled and said, Candle Dragon is a human after all. As long as we are determined, there is no need to worry about not being able to kill him. Du Xing said, but Candle Dragon has thousands of immortal state warriors with him. Zheng Xian smiled. Deputy Region Master Du, don't worry. Candle Dragon is frivolous and arrogant, and he is very confident in his strength. We can set a trap. I, Zheng Xian, will lure Candle Dragon out, and the Region Master will ambush outside with the experts of the realm. Once Candle Dragon comes, we will attack together, and we will definitely be able to kill this 96th level ancestral sorcerer. Situ Yun couldn't help but laugh. Wonderful. Deputy Region Master Zheng is indeed the star of the heaven-devouring realm. Chapter 1071. In the Fire Lion region, a fiery red fortress stood in the middle of a vast forest. This fortress had a long history, but ever since the region Lord Zhuang Fei was killed, this fortress had fallen into the hands of the Dragon League. Now, thousands of godly state experts were stationed here, and it was the northernmost line of defense of the Dragon League. Under the scorching sun, prey were strolling and hunting in the forest outside the fortress of the Fire Lion region. Water beasts were drinking water by the river, and hissing sounds could be heard from the shore. It was a shapeless person with a long wriggling body and a tongue sticking out. It was Zhu Long. Zhu Long had ascended to become a sorcerer deity with the body of a snake, so he naturally retained his most primitive habits. After coming out of the ancestral sorcerer's illusion, hunting had become his greatest pleasure. Hiss! After a sharp hiss, 2 water beasts were instantly devoured, leaving only messy fur on the ground. Zhu Long patted his stomach in satisfaction, a happy smile on his face. Suddenly, an aura disappeared, and Zhu Long could not help but frown. His body flew close to the surface of the ground at high speed. He pulled out the sword at his waist and slashed in the air. There was a dang sound and sparks flew. This sword had actually slashed on a steel blade. It was a willow leaf blade. That person retreated in panic. His body was faintly glowing with divine power. He was an expert in the God-Emperor realm. Zhu Long chuckled. Are you a spy? Don't go, stay and play with Grandpa. Zheng Xian swept through the forest like a gust of wind, moving at an incredible speed. He cultivated in the law of the wind to begin with, so escaping was his specialty. However, as he was fleeing, the grass in front of him suddenly grew at a crazy rate. Every strand of grass was like a venomous snake, twisting around Zheng Xian's feet and trying to devour him. Get lost. Zheng Xian's body spun rapidly, and his butterfly knife slashed with all his might. Immediately, the grass and vines were shattered by the sharp knife energy, but Zhu Long's attack came from behind. His long sword had a penetrative power that could destroy everything. Zheng Xian gritted his teeth and crossed his 2 knives in front of his chest. With a low roar, he condensed a thick wind shield. Blood splattered everywhere. Zheng Xian was actually unable to withstand Zhulong's attack. He spat out a mouthful of blood and flew backward. Like a cannonball, his body was blasted by Zhulong's sword, breaking countless trees and falling into the distant forest. Zhu Long frowned. Is the heaven-devouring territory really that powerful? Are all the scouts they send so powerful? Who cares? Let's kill and eat him first. He licked his lips and his face was full of killing intent. His figure turned into a shadow and chased after them. On the other side of the forest, there were a few people sitting on a cliff. One of them was Situ Yun, and there were more than 10 other people. They were all great perfection divine emperors. The elites of the heaven-devouring region were all here. Du Xing gripped his saber and said, "Domain Lord, they're here." Deputy Region Lord Xian is so pitiful. Amidst the sound of trees snapping, Xian was sent flying like a ball. His body smashed through dozens of trees before slamming into a stone wall, causing the entire mountain ridge to tremble. Xian's collision was truly tragic, but he had achieved his goal. Zhulong was now standing in front of everyone. He stretched out his arms, and the two thin swords buzzed. Ancient Xian energy flowed rapidly. Zhulong looked at the top of the hill and laughed. "I know there are helpers. Come out, let me see how strong the people of the heaven-devouring region are." Situ Yun's heart trembled. What an arrogant and unruly Zhulong. He knew there was an ambush, but he still came. How confident was he in his own strength? Situ Yun reached to his waist, and suddenly a dazzling battle-axe appeared in his hand. His face was full of smiles, and he said, "Then there's no need to hide. Go kill Zhulong." When Situ Yun appeared in the air with the divine battle-axe, Zhulong was instantly stunned. "That's Gong Gong's axe. For you." "Ha, uncle, it's not easy to recognize Gong Gong's axe." Situ Yun laughed. Zhulong frowned. "Your Gong Gong's son, Go Long? What do you think, uncle?" Situ Yun waved the battle-axe in his hand, and his eyes were full of hatred. "Chiyu ordered you 4 ancestors to guard the original spirit, and now you've surrendered to a mortal boy like Lin Muyu. Uncle, you've really disappointed me." "You're really Go Long?" Zhulong's face was full of shock. "Otherwise?" Situ Yun's face was full of hatred. "After my father died in battle, I was exiled to this barren land, changed my surname, and finally became a supreme being. I didn't expect that, uncle. The 4 of you would forget the teachings of Ancestor Chiyu and be tamed by a little boy from the mortal world. Humph, you're the shame of the 12 ancestors, the shame of the 9 Li clan." Zhulong said coldly, "Since you're Go Long, you should surrender to the new clan leader with us. Lin Muyu has the supremacy and the star stone. She is the successor of Chiyu and our new leader." Situ Yun smiled. "Is that so? Then you'll have to ask my Gong Gong's axe and see if it agrees to uncle's request." Zhulong also smiled. "Boy, since you're so stubborn, then I'll teach you a lesson on behalf of your father." "That's exactly what I wanted." Situ Yun brazenly descended from the sky while holding the Gong Gong axe with both of his hands. The entire sky was covered with frost, and the ice Xian power rushed towards the Gong Gong axe like a tidal wave. His momentum was extremely astonishing. Even Du Xing and the others had forgotten to take action. Very few people had seen Situ Yun take action, and they had never thought that once he took action, it would be so terrifying. Zhulong looked coldly at Situ Yun, who had jumped high in the sky, and didn't say anything. He waved his sword, and the space distorted, turning into a dimensional storm that rushed toward Situ Yun's axe. Bang! The earth shook, and with just one blow, the hill on the side had been completely shattered. The powerful destructive force swept through the surroundings, uprooting the trees in the jungle and turning the cattail grass on the ground into powder. The strong storm blew around, and Du Xing and the others couldn't even open their eyes. In just a minute, Situ Yun had consecutively chopped the axe 9 times, and each chop was stronger than the previous one. The surrounding ground had become pale and frozen. When the wind dissipated, a glacier appeared on the ground out of thin air, and in the depths of the glacier, Zhulong was frozen motionless. 1. Du Xing was shocked. Situ Yun stood proudly in the air with the axe in his hand, without saying a word. There was no shadow. A wisp of blood-red light gradually penetrated through the small gap of the glacier and condensed into the shape of Zhulong. The illusion was not afraid of the attack of the frost. When Zhulong's body reformed, he took a deep breath and said, "I didn't expect you to have mastered the 9 ice soul strikes. This is a unique skill that even your father couldn't master completely. You really are better than your father, but the 9 ice soul strikes still can't kill you." Situ Yun looked calm. Zhulong smiled faintly and said, "Yes, When your father was alive, he might not be my opponent, let alone a stupid boy like you. You ignored the instability of your foundation and forcibly broke through to the 97th heavenly cave, but so what? You are not my opponent. Admit defeat, I will spare your life since you are the descendant of the 12 ancestors of witches. My life doesn't need your forgiveness. Situ Yun smiled slightly and said, You'd better think about your own future. What? Zhulong was slightly shocked. In the air, Situ Yun once again raised his battle axe, and a stronger attack was coming. Zhulong quickly condensed the power of space, and his eyes were fixed on Situ Yun in the air, but at this moment, suddenly there was a sound of wind breaking. No, the real killer move was not from Situ Yun. A fiery red arrow instantly penetrated Zhulong's chest, and the golden arrow hit the ice with a ding sound and quickly melted. It was just an arrow in the form of energy. Zhulong looked up at the sky, and it was a young God Emperor realm expert, holding a fiery red longbow in his hand. It was the first-class divine artifact, Ho Yi Bao. Well done, Su Chuan. Situ Yun smiled slightly. The young man smiled faintly and said, Thank you for the praise, Domain Lord. As soon as he finished speaking, he quickly pulled the bowstring again, and suddenly, a fiery sun-shooting arrow condensed on the bowstring, and with a whoosh, the arrow shot into Zhulong's shoulder the moment it left the bowstring. This was not a shooting because the arrow did not have a flight trajectory, and the moment it was shot, it had already hit the target. Wah! Zhulong groaned and blood spurted out wildly. The attack of Ho Yi Bao could not be avoided, he already understood. And who was the young man in the air? Was he the descendant of Zhulong? His appearance was somewhat similar to his. Puff, puff, puff. Several arrows were shot in succession, and Zhulong did not dodge any of them. His chest was already stained with blood, and each and every one of his wounds was shocking. Uncle, it seems that I have to send you off. Situ Yun slowly landed, his face full of pride. Zhulong smiled faintly and said, When I don't want to die, no one can kill me. Is that so? Yes. Zhulong smiled bitterly, and his body suddenly began to fade, and his right arm slowly turned into particles of light that dissipated in the wind. He was about to escape with the wind. You want to escape like this? Situ Yun roared, and his left hand was like an eagle's claw, filled with divine power, and suddenly grabbed Zhulong's left arm and shouted, Die for me, don't even think of escaping. However, the torch dragon's body disappeared like a pile of ashes. Gong Gong raised his axe, and suddenly chopped on Zhulong's left arm, blood splattered, and a living arm was grabbed by Situ Yun, but Zhulong's body still dissipated with the wind. He was an expert in illusion, and just like what he said, when Zhulong did not want to die, no one could kill him. Damn it, he ran away. Situ Yun gritted his teeth. Du Xing and the others were dumbfounded, and did not know what to say. Although they were all God Emperors, they might not be a match for Situ Yun even if they joined forces. And in the air, the young man holding Ho Yi Bao smiled and said, Domain Lord, don't be angry, the destructive power of the sun-shooting arrow will make his wounds unable to heal. Even if Zhulong escapes, he will only be a cripple. And that's for the best. Situ Yun's eyes turned cold and said, Immediately gather the people and attack the Fire Lion region. Chapter 1072. Under the starlight, a stream of fire shot into the castle of the Starfall domain, dragging a long blood-red tail. Late at night, the news of Zhulong's defeat spread throughout the Dragon League. In the side chamber's infirmary, Zhulong's horrifying injuries gave everyone a fright. He was lying on the bed with his entire left arm severed. His chest was covered in piercing wounds caused by sharp arrows. The wounds did not form scabs as blood flowed incessantly. Can he be saved? Lin Muyu glanced at Zhulong's wounds and gently placed her palm on his chest. Supreme divine power continuously poured into his body to heal him, but soon found that it had little effect. Zhulong struggled to push Lin Muyu's palm away. Leader, it's useless. Our powers do not come from the same source. My bloodline comes from the Juli, and your power comes from Fushi. Gomong was very calm. Zhu Long, who beat you up like this? Is it someone from the heaven-devouring region? Damn, it's the heaven-devouring region again. Nangong Lai said angrily. We should have wiped out the heaven-devouring region in one go. Don't be impulsive. Zhu Long stopped Nangong Lai with a glance. The heaven-devouring region is not as simple as you think. They have Gonggong Axe and Ho Yi Bao. Ahem, and the Lord of the heaven-devouring region. Ahem, isn't the Lord of the heaven-devouring region Situ Yun? Tang Xiaoxi asked. It's not that simple. He is Go Long, the son of Gonggong. What? Lin Muyu was shocked. Situ Yun is Gonggong's son? That's right. Zhu Long gasped. Gonggong Axe is extremely powerful, and Go Long's strength is far above his father's. It's not that easy to defeat Go Long. Moreover, there was a strange young man. He used Ho Yi Bao to attack me and seriously injured me. That's why I lost. Leader, you must be careful of that young man. Young man? Ho Yi Bao. Lin Muyu frowned. I understand. Zhulong, what about your injuries? Gomong narrowed his eyes and said, the wounds inflicted by the Ho Yi Bao are unable to heal on their own. It's all thanks to Torch Dragon's powerful vitality, or he would have died from blood loss. Is there any way to heal the Ho Yi Bao? Lin Muyu asked. There's only one way, dragon blood. The life force of a dragon is the strongest among the god-made creatures. Only by fusing with dragon blood can we stop the bleeding. Isn't Torch Dragon a dragon? In fact, he's a snake. Gomong touched his nose. Zhu Long glared at him and said, Chief, only the purest divine dragon blood can heal me. That's not a problem. Bring me a cup. Lin Muyu walked out of the infirmary and summoned Acatosaurus with a wave of her hand. Suddenly, the wind and clouds surged, and Acatosaurus proudly emerged from the huge magic array. Its injuries had all healed, but when it met Lin Muyu's malicious gaze, it felt that something bad was about to happen. With a howl, it hid behind Qin Yin. Qin Yin couldn't help but laugh. She gently stroked its head and said, It's fine, I just need a little bit of your blood. Acatosaurus was skeptical. Lin Muyu put the teacup on the ground, then with a clang, she pulled out the Xianyuan sword and stabbed it into the ground. She said, Do it yourself, I only need a little bit of dragon blood. Only then did Acatosaurus shake its head and step forward. It rubbed its claws back and forth on the Xianyuan sword, causing sparks to burst out. The dragon armor was too hard, even with the Xianyuan sword's strength, it was difficult to break it. Do you need my help? Lin Muyu asked forcefully. Acatosaurus hurriedly shook its head and continued to use force, but the Xianyuan sword still couldn't break the dragon armor. Qin Yin smiled helplessly. Looking around and seeing that there was no one around, she said, I can only rely on Xiaoxi. Tang Xiaoxi was stunned. Huh? Rely on me for what? Qin Yin chuckled and gently waved her palm towards the ground. Suddenly, a whirlwind rose. Coincidentally, Tang Xiaoxi was wearing a short skirt today. Under the whirlwind, the skirt fluttered, revealing her two well-proportioned, slender legs. The Acatosaurus also saw it, and for a moment, it howled miserably. Its nose started to bleed. Lin Muyu hurriedly held the wine cup and flew up to catch the dragon blood, while Tang Xiaoxi's face turned red. Little Apple has learned bad things from Mu. Xiao Yin, why didn't you come? I didn't wear a skirt today, next time. Will there be a next time? Yes. Qin Yin hurriedly comforted Tang Xiaoxi's agitated emotions, while Lin Muyu had already entered the infirmary to be treated. As soon as the dragon blood came in, the wound of the torch dragon began to slowly heal. The effect was very obvious, and in just a short period of time, the wound was almost completely healed. When the torch dragon sat up, Feng Zhanlin said, Since the torch dragon ancestral shaman has recovered, shouldn't we immediately attack the Flaming Lion region? After all, we still have 2,000 or 3,000 troops there. There's no need to go, Lin Muyu said. But Lin Muyu smiled helplessly. Since Situ Yun deliberately injured the torch dragon, he must have been prepared. The torch dragon has been flying for a long time, and the Flaming Lion region should have been breached long ago. In other words, our people have either been killed or surrendered. There won't be many who can escape. Nangong Lai's face was full of fighting spirit. Alliance leader, are we just going to wait like this? Yes, let's just wait like this. Lin Muyu frowned. This happened in the Flaming Lion region because of my poor arrangements, and I underestimated the heaven-devouring region. For now, we only need to guard the Fallen Star region, and don't act rashly. The more we stay quiet, the more the heaven-devouring region will not dare to act. Yes, I understand. A day later, hundreds of people escaped from the direction of the Flaming Lion region, and most of the rest of the Dragon League troops had been captured. The Fallen Star region was in an uproar, and everyone believed that they should fight to the death with the heaven-devouring region. It was a good thing that morale was high, but the timing was not right. After Lin Muyu gave the order to stay put, the heaven-devouring dominion did not rush to deal with the Dragon League. A mere torch dragon was enough to make the heaven-devouring dominion send out all their elites, but there was more than one torch dragon in the meteorite dominion. Putting aside the 4 grand sorcerers, Lin Muyu, Qin Yin, and Tang Xiaoxi were enough to make the heaven-devouring dominion wary. In the blink of an eye, 3 months passed and nothing happened. Lin Muyu and the others continued to cultivate in the Cave of Gods and Demons. Bright moonlight shone on the surface of the Cave of Gods and Demons, and a late autumn snow fell on the 64 regions. Large snowflakes fluttered in the air. In a simple and crude straw hut on the surface, Lin Muyu lay on the meadow, while Qin Yin and Tang Xiaoxi leaned on her left and right. This was a temporary resting place outside the Cave of Gods and Demons. I wonder how the Shattered Cauldron world is doing. Qin Yin looked into the distance. After all, she still had things to worry about. Yes, I wonder how Sister Chu Yao and Brother Feng are doing. Lin Muyu sat up and hugged Qin Yin's shoulders. She smiled and said, "But don't worry, the Demon Emperor and Xiao will take care of the Shattered Cauldron world. Don't worry, nothing will happen." Yes. Qin Yin nodded happily. At this moment, the most dangerous period had passed. If they could endure it back then, it was simply a kind of enjoyment now. At this moment, the ground suddenly buzzed and trembled. Beams of light seeped out from the ground on the snowy plains. The light was resplendent and extremely astonishing. An extremely strong power of light came from the depths of the ground, and it brought with it a familiar aura. It was Shi Yan's aura. She broke through. Lin Muyu clapped and said with a smile, "That's great. Sister Xian has finally broken through to the 80th level of the Grotto Heaven realm." Really? Qin Yin and Tang Xiaoxi's eyes widened. From the entrance of the Cave of Gods and Demons, a figure floated out. It was Shi Yan, who was wielding the Qiyue sword. At this moment, Shi Yan looked in high spirits, and 6 wings naturally spread out behind her. She could now maintain the Blazing Angel's battle form for a long time. "How do you feel, Sister Xian?" Lin Muyu flew over and asked with a smile. Shi Yan tilted her head and looked at him. She said with a smile, "Brat, didn't you want me to help you destroy the heaven-devouring realm? Now I can fight 10,000 alone." Qin Yin chuckled. Lin Muyu was delighted. "That's great. Let's return to the Star region overnight and start gathering people. The day after tomorrow, we will directly attack the heaven-devouring realm's headquarters and destroy its foundation." Yes. The next day, Lin Muyu issued a gathering order. Members of the Dragon League surged from all directions. On the 3rd day, before dawn, the mighty army of more than 10,000 Dragon League soldiers went straight to the heaven-devouring realm. Before noon, they arrived at the heaven-devouring realm. War drums thundered, and the army of the heaven-devouring realm was already ready. Lin Muyu floated up the mountain ridge and looked into the distance. The heaven-devouring realm's army was overwhelming on the plains in front of her. In terms of numbers, the heaven-devouring realm was firmly above the Dragon League. Banners fluttered in the air, and with a large number of servants, there were at least 100,000 people on the plains, waiting to fight the Dragon League. The battle between the two sides was originally a collision of strength. There were no fancy tricks. "Wow, so many people!" Feng Zhanlin exclaimed. Nangong Lai, on the other hand, rubbed his palms and smiled. "I have waited for this day for too long. Finally, I can kill a lot of people. Tang Xiaoxi squinted her eyes and asked with a smile, Mu, do you want to set up a formation? This is a war between gods. What's the use of a formation? Lin Muyu chuckled. But we still need a formation. Order everyone to spread out on the plains, and prepare for the decisive battle with the heaven-devouring realm. Dong, dong, dong. The Dragon League set up dozens of drums on the hills, and the drumming never stopped. One by one, the immortal state experts crossed the mountains and appeared in the vision of the people of the heaven-devouring realm. In terms of military strategy, the celestial race army of the Dragon League came from the south, and the people of the heaven-devouring realm had to face the blazing sun. This was the advantage of military strategy. In fact, most of the participants' battlefield was not on the ground, but in the sky. As the two armies were at each other's throats, Lin Muyu flew to the camp of the heaven-devouring realm with the Xianyuan sword in her hand. She raised her long sword and said, Situ Yun, come out and talk. The formation separated, and Situ Yun came out with a battle axe in his hand. He smiled and said, It's an honor to meet you, Leader Lin. Chapter 1073. It's not too late for you to change your allegiance now. Ha, what a joke. There is only one master of the 64 domains. Why should it be the Dragon League? Situ Yun's face was cold, and the axe in his hand was glowing. I've been planning for thousands of years, and now I've finally gathered the Gong Gong axe, the Ho Yi Bao, and the Zhu Rong Bao. Come at me if you have the ability. Situ Yun spoke with great confidence, and the divine army of the devouring sky domain was ready to go. Lin Muyu squinted and searched for a long time, but she couldn't find the Ho Yi Bao, let alone the legendary young man. But she had to find him. The Ho Yi Bao could injure Candle Dragon, which meant it could injure anyone in the Dragon League. This Bao was the most dreaded existence in the Dragon League. Lin Muyu, you and I are the real masters of the Dragon League and the devouring sky domain. Do you have the guts to fight me? Situ Yun held the axe and said with a smile, The gods have the virtue of cherishing life. Look at the countless cultivators behind us. They understand the wonders of heaven and earth, absorb the spirits of all living things, and finally cultivate the way of heaven. If we let them fight each other, blood will inevitably flow. Instead of that, why don't you and I have a duel, and the loser will surrender to the other? What do you think? Lin Muyu frowned and didn't speak. Behind her, Tang Xiaoxi said loudly, Mu, don't believe his nonsense. Gomeng also said in a low voice, Leader, this guy is just looking for an opportunity to use the Ho Yi Bao to injure you. Go Long is a dishonest villain. You can't trust him. Qin Yin held the Dong Hua sword and looked at the back of Lin Muyu, but she didn't speak. She knew that Lin Muyu must have a plan. Sure enough, after a long silence, Lin Muyu looked up at Situ Yun and said, Is this true? All right. Lin Muyu's eyes turned cold, and suddenly a layer of golden luster covered her body. She immediately stepped into the immortal golden body realm, and her domain spread out in all directions. Her voice was contained in the domain, and she said in a clear voice, People of the heaven-devouring domain, listen up. The only purpose of the Dragon League is to unify the 64 domains, not to kill people. In the battle between me and Situ Yun, no matter who loses, they must surrender to the other, otherwise, they will suffer the wrath of heaven. Feng Zhanlin, Nengong Lai, Ling Songhon, and the others raised their weapons and shouted, Long live the Dragon League! Long live the Alliance Chief! Everyone in the heaven-devouring realm had their own thoughts. They were not as united as the members of the Dragon League. After all, most of them had been defeated by the heaven-devouring realm, and they had never been loyal to the heaven-devouring realm or Situ Yun. Now that Lin Muyu and Situ Yun decided to decide the fate of the 64 realms in a decisive battle, they all approved of it. After all, ending the war without too many casualties was what everyone wanted. Snowflakes began drifting around Situ Yun. Streams of ice power coiled around his body, and the Gong Gong axe in his hand buzzed. His eyes were filled with a faint intent of killing as he said, Alliance Chief Lin, are you ready? Yes, come on. With the Xianyuan sword held horizontally, Lin Muyu gave a low shout, and golden elephant wheels appeared indistinctly around him. At this moment, Xian's voice rang in his ears. I've found the wielder of the Hui Bao. He's an extremely powerful divine emperor with dual laws of fire and space. Are you really confident that your immortal golden body can withstand the first shot of the Hui Bao? Yes, but I may not be able to take the second arrow. Sister Xian, you have to finish him quickly. Yes, don't worry. Just fight. Situ Yun laughed out loud. Treading on the ice constellation, Situ Yun dashed towards Lin Muyu. His axe was wrapped in icy light, as if it carried all the power of the snow in the sky. It was the first move of the Ice Spirit 9 strikes from Gong Gong, Flying Snow Blade. At the moment when Gong Gong's axe chopped down, streams of ice and snow in the air also turned into ice blades, striking towards Lin Muyu. It was not just one attack, but thousands of attacks in an instant. The Xianyuan sword in Lin Muyu's hand shone brightly, and streams of green vines rose from the surroundings, flying towards Gong Gong's axe. The chaos of all lives. Countless green vines, trees, human figures, and other kinds of Xian power collided with the ice blade. With a loud clang, the Xianyuan sword and Gong Gong axe were separated from each other as soon as they touched each other. Waves of air swept out in all directions. Situ Yun gripped Gong Gong's axe with both of his hands. He only felt a numbing power seeping into his arms, and a faint swelling pain. This kid was so powerful, his strength had actually reached such a level. Moreover, Situ Yun also discovered that Lin Muyu had actually blocked his attack with only one hand. If she had held the sword with both hands, how powerful would it be? Good. Situ Yun said, good, 3 times in a row. The power in his arms soared, and an astonishing cold stream instantly gushed out from behind him. A large group of God Realm experts from the heaven-devouring territory hurriedly stepped back. If they were a little bit slower, they would have been frozen into ice bricks. How could Situ Yun's divine power be blocked by ordinary gods? The cold stream lingered around the axe like a wind. Situ Yun directly jumped from the first move of the Ice Spirit 9 strikes to the third move, Ice Spirit Cold Wind. This was an attack with the power of the law of wind, and it had to be guarded against. Lin Muyu could feel the majestic power contained in this attack. After all, Situ Yun was a 97th heavenly abode god emperor. In terms of divine power, it was still at least 50% higher than Lin Muyu's divine power. Situ Yun was destined to be unable to block the first few attacks of the 7 luminaries' dark force. In for a penny, in for a pound, in for a pound, in for a pound. Raging flames quickly lingered on both of his arms. 5 elements, 8 wastelands destruction. The shapeless elephant spell silently operated, absorbing the surrounding power of heaven and earth to enhance the power of the 5 elements, 8 wastelands destruction. Lin Muyu was only at the 87th heavenly abode god realm, so she had to use all kinds of means to challenge someone of a higher realm. Come on! Situ Yun roared, and the Gong Gong axe attacked with the cold wind. Boom! In the air, the cold stream and the raging flames collided, and the 2 completely different forces engulfed each other. The sound of the explosion continued, and the whole sky was dyed red by the energy explosion. Lin Muyu's arm was numb, and she couldn't help but withdraw the long sword. Her body twisted in the whirlwind and instantly retreated nearly 100 meters. Her arm was slightly trembling, and there were actually streaks of blood flowing down from it. Situ Yun was not much better. He gave up all defense and attacked. While breaking the defense of the immortal golden body and injuring Lin Muyu, there were also 2 sword wounds on his chest that were so deep that the bone could be seen. There was no doubt that both of them were risking their lives. Yu Long stood in the air, frowning and said, "Bad? How bad?" Gomang and Dijiang asked at the same time. Zhu Long squinted his eyes and said, "Go Long didn't use all his strength in the battle with me." What? He hid his strength? Gomang was shocked. Yes, this kid. He has mastered the 9 ice soul strikes, and I'm afraid his strength is already above the 4 great witches. I know the strength of the leader very well. The power of the fifth star can only be tied with the third attack of the 9 ice soul strikes. I'm afraid that once Situ Yun uses the 9th attack, the leader will not be able to resist it. Gomong squinted his eyes and didn't say a word. At this time, Qin Yin and Tang Xiaoxi had already approached Lin Muyu from both sides. They were about 200 meters away from each other, which was a distance that they could cover in an instant. They were ready to help at any time. At the same time, Zheng Xian, Du Xing, and the other experts from the Devouring Sky territory also approached quietly. They were ready to fight Qin Yin and Tang Xiaoxi at any time. With a roar, Situ Yun injected all his divine power into the battle axe, and ice cones began to grow under his feet. In the blink of an eye, the ice cones rushed to the ground, and a large glacier was slowly forming. The 5th attack of the 9 ice soul strikes, 1,000 miles frozen river. That powerful power was surging, and even Lin Muyu, who was used to the extremely cold temperature in the cave of gods and demons, felt very uncomfortable. Xian Yuan's sword was buzzing, and a golden ribbon appeared and lingered around Lin Muyu. The divine weapon had begun to protect its master with its own power. Lin Muyu held the sword with both hands, and as she silently circulated her power, streams of star power condensed into an armor behind her. This was the 4th move of the star scripture, the Star Lotus Armor. The moment the Star Lotus Armor was condensed, a dense cold air spread out. The 5th move, the Star Lotus Armor. He had to continuously use the 2 ultimate moves of the star scripture to fight against Situ Yun's strength. In the distance, Shi Yan's pair of beautiful eyes were looking at the battlefield, and she couldn't help but sigh. Situ Yun was not simple. With his cultivation, he could be ranked in the top 10 in any divine realm. Even in the Western divine realm, except for the ruler and the 2 blazing angels, no one could reach Situ Yun's level. However, Situ Yun's opponent was Lin Muyu, who was also a rare genius. She was blessed with a supreme godhead, and had comprehended the immortal golden body. Otherwise, if it were someone else, they would have already been defeated. Take this! Situ Yun roared as he slashed out with his battle axe. Suddenly, numerous icicles rose from the ground and continuously bombarded Lin Muyu's domain. At the same time, Gong Gong's axe shone with a cold light as it smashed through the wall of the gourd that Lin Muyu had condensed and went straight towards his neck. Lin Muyu shouted, and the golden 7 luminaries' immortal sword martial soul penetrated through her arms and into the Xian Yuan sword. Suddenly, the dark blue jade snow ice turned golden and whizzed forward. Boom! The icicles shattered, and the domain exploded. The sound of the explosion was endless. The ice and frost in the air formed a thick curtain of snow, making people unable to see the figures of the 2 people clearly. They could only see the splashing golden light, and the 2 people had already started fighting again in the snow curtain. At this moment, in the crowd of the heaven-devouring domain, a young man looked at the snow curtain with burning eyes. He gently swung the longbow in his hand, and instantly shot an arrow. Swoosh! The arrow light disappeared into the snow curtain. With a muffled groan, someone was hit by the arrow. Without a doubt, this was the voice of Lin Muyu. Now is the time. When the young man pulled the bowstring and prepared for the second shot, suddenly a mighty divine power appeared above his head. There, the beautiful figure of the blazing angel suddenly appeared, broke through the blockade of tens of thousands of experts in the heaven-devouring domain, broke through the 4-dimensional space, and the Qi sword blazed, just like the eyes of Shi Yan. Chapter 1074. Accomplice to the evil, die. The blazing moon sword fell from the sky. Shi Yan's attack was powerful, and she directly used the 7th strike of Shi Yan's 7 strikes, God Slaying. This young man was none other than Su Chuan, one of the top 5 experts in the heaven-devouring territory, the 93rd heavenly cave. He was also the person that Situ Yun relied on the most. Otherwise, he would not have given him such an important sneak attack mission. Unfortunately, Situ Yun and Su Chuan did not expect Shi Yan's breakthrough and the rapid recovery of the Blazing Angel's power. He hurriedly raised the Hou-yi bow and used the bow made of divine iron to block the blazing moon sword. Clang! How could he block it? The blazing moon sword slashed down with the Hou-yi bow. Poochie! Blood splattered everywhere. Xian's attack was fast and ruthless. It entered Su Chuan's neck and came out from his waist, instantly splitting him into two. At the same time, she reached out and grabbed the Hou-yi bow. This longbow could instantly kill a target regardless of the flying trajectory. It could not be left in the hands of the opponent. Su Chuan is dead. Su Chuan is dead. The people of the heaven-devouring region were shocked. Du Xing and Jing Xian were even more shocked. Shi Yan suddenly raised the blood-stained blazing moon sword and pointed it at the people. This person used a bow and arrow to attack, destroying the fair competition. Damn it! No one is allowed to act rashly, or you will end up like him. Facing the domineering blazing angel, who dared to move? Everyone knew Su Chuan's strength very well. Even Su Chuan could not withstand a single strike, let alone the others. At this time, a figure fell from the sky. It was Lin Muyu. A bloody light appeared on his shoulder. It was the penetrating wound of the Hou-yi bow. It was very serious. In the air, a silhouette immediately rushed down like a thunderbolt. It was Situ Yun, who was holding the gong gong axe. His face was stained with blood. It seemed as if his cheek had been hit by a sword. His skin and flesh had been split open. It was very frightening, and blood was flowing out unceasingly. He fiercely swung the axe and roared, "I will kill you! Alliance Master is in danger." Feng Zhanlin was shocked and drew his sword to help. On the other hand, Nangong Lai was much calmer. He suddenly pressed down on Feng Zhanlin's shoulder. "Wait, the Alliance Master will not be defeated so easily." Sure enough, just as the gong gong axe was about to hack down, Lin Muyu suddenly opened her eyes. Her body slightly bounced in the air, with a golden light and shadow. Her palm cleverly avoided the sharp edge of the gong gong axe and grabbed the handle of the gong gong axe. Borrowing the force from the air, her right hand that was holding the Xianyuan sword produced a series of golden elephant wheels, and fiercely smashed the hilt of the sword onto Situ Yun's chest. Bang! 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 Situ Yun was smashed to the point that he spat out a mouthful of blood. It was obviously a competition between two masters, but Lin Muyu's fighting style instantly changed from a confrontation of moves to a street fight. How could Situ Yun accept this? Both of them were grandmasters. Get lost. Situ Yun, who had flown into a rage out of humiliation, roared, and used the power of the frost domain to blast Lin Muyu's body apart. Indeed, in terms of strength, Situ Yun was indeed above Lin Muyu. But in Lin Muyu's eyes, Situ Yun saw a bit of ridicule. Not good. Situ Yun was shocked, but it was already too late. Behind him, two blazing lights attacked. Two very burning divine powers were Qin Yin's Dong Hua sword and Tang Xiaoxi's dig spear. Boom! The god wall completely collapsed. Qin Yin turned her wrist, and the Dong Hua sword pierced through Situ Yun's abdomen. Tang Xiaoxi turned her palm, and the blazing firefox seal blasted toward Situ Yun's cheek. As the saying goes, when you hit someone, don't hit his face. But in Tang Xiaoxi's dictionary, there seemed to be no such sentence. Oh, that's right, she didn't have a dictionary at all. Why? Situ Yun roared and waved the gong gong axe randomly, but every time he missed. He was already seriously injured, while Qin Yin and Tang Xiaoxi were in their peak state. In the sky, a cold light fell down. Bang! Situ Yun's body fell to the ground. The wound on Lin Muyu's shoulder was still bleeding, but she could only vent all her hatred on Situ Yun for being pierced by the Hou-yi bow. Lin Muyu's knee was pressed against Situ Yun's chest. He raised his hand and punched a few times. His fists were not simple. A golden elephant wheel was wrapped around his wrist, just like a gorgeous watch, but the attack power was also very terrifying. After a few punches, Situ Yun's face was beyond recognition, and even his teeth were blown away. Situ Yun probably didn't expect this result, and he didn't expect that Lin Muyu could actually resist his Ice Soul 9 strikes. If not, the result would be completely different. Leader, please be lenient, please spare his life. Gomang descended from the sky and said, "In the end, Go Long is still the successor of our Jiuli clan. Even if he made a mistake, there is no need to kill him. Let me take care of him for the time being." "Gomang, are you not afraid that he will bite back?" "No." Gomang opened his palm, and suddenly, a white dragon rushed out. It was Gomang's pet. However, the white dragon quickly turned into a white vine, and one end of it wrapped around Situ Yun's neck. The needles on the vine pierced into Situ Yun's body and blocked the meridians in his neck. In this way, he couldn't even breathe. The white dragon rope is indestructible. Even if it was an ancient god, once he was imprisoned, he would not be able to escape. "Leader, rest assured, I will slowly tame this evil creature. Then I will leave it to Senior Gomang." Lin Muyu grabbed the white dragon rope and pulled Situ Yun's body up from the ground. She flew up into the sky and said in a loud voice, "Everyone in the heaven-devouring region, look carefully. Situ Yun has been subdued by me. Immediately put down your weapons or else I will kill you." The leader of the heaven-devouring region, the strongest person in the 64 regions, was actually held like a chicken in her hand. Who could believe it? However, the fact in front of them was irrefutable. The people of the heaven-devouring region were dumbfounded. Lin Muyu smiled and said, "Of course, there is one person who cannot be pardoned. Sister Xian, help me kill him." Shi Yan's figure flashed, and suddenly, a person knelt on the ground. There was a bloody hole in his chest and blood gushed out. It was Xian, an 88th level Grotto Heaven expert, but he could not even take a single blow from Shi Yan. Moreover, he did not even know how Shi Yan attacked. It was too fast. Lin Muyu was also shocked. If Shi Yan recovered her 99th level Grotto Heaven, it would be terrible. Clang! No one knew who was the first to throw down his weapon. More and more experts of the heaven-devouring region put down their weapons and knelt on one knee. They hurriedly said, "We are willing to submit to Alliance Leader Lin and join the Dragon League." Feng Zhan Lin and Nangong Lai looked at each other and smiled. The 64 regions were finally unified. No one thought it would be so easy. Lin Muyu handed Situ Yun to Gomang. There was a lot of talent in the heaven-devouring region. Together with the strength of the Dragon League, there were nearly 50,000 immortal state experts. Most of these people were arrogant and unruly, and they needed to be rearranged. This was not a small amount of work. Fortunately, there was no leader. With the deterrence of the power of Lin Muyu, Shi Yan, Qin Yin, and the others, the people of the heaven-devouring region did not have the courage to resist. The unification of the 64 regions by the Dragon League had become a fait accompli. Late at night, in the hall of the heaven-devouring region, Lin Muyu, who had finished healing, used her divine will to contact Xiao. At this time, in the hall of the East Heaven, there was an endless quarrel. Since we want to fight the Western Divine Realm, then let's fight. However, the Western Divine Realm still has an army of more than 100,000 angels. The angels scattered in various planes have also begun to gather. It is not as simple as we think. As for us, we only have 80,000 soldiers. Even if our individual combat power is stronger than the angel army, after the battle, Dong Ming in the Northern Heaven Realm is ready to make a move. Once Yangshang and Dong Han's army of 160,000 are dispatched, the foundation of the entire East Heaven will be turned upside down. With that, he flipped his palm at the 7 luminaries demon emperor. "See, this is how it will turn the sky upside down. All the beautiful goddesses in the spiritual mountain will be finished." The 7 luminaries demon emperor frowned. "In that case, are we not going to fight the Western Divine Realm? Recently, that idiot Claude has been jumping around a lot." Xiao said, "We still have to fight. If we don't fight the Western Divine Realm, the Western Divine Realm will definitely attack us." Qin Ping smiled, "Sister Xiao, it's easy for you to say. How can we have so many troops? After Sun Feng goes out to battle, I'm afraid that there won't be anyone left to defend the Eastern Heaven Realm. Could it be that the Demon Emperor alone is enough?" Xiao pursed her red lips and said, "In the end, it is still the problem of the Northern Heaven Realm. How about, We go to the Northern Heaven Realm again and make an alliance with the god King Dongming, then attack the Western Divine Realm. I'm afraid this is the only way, Sun Feng said. At this moment, a beam of light fell in the hall and condensed into the appearance of Lin Muyu. What's wrong? They seem to be quarreling. Lin Muyu was confused. No. The 7 luminaries Demon Emperor and Xiao explained together with a smile. Lin Muyu said, Sister Xiao, have you finished what I asked you to do? Opening the passage between the ancient mystery realm and the god realm will take at least 30 minutes. Xiao was stunned. Why are you in such a hurry? The Northern Heaven will needs to replenish its divine power. I'm currently looking for spiritual energy materials. Don't be anxious. I can't be anxious. I have already unified the 64 domains. Ah? The 7 luminaries Demon Emperor's jaw almost dropped. So fast? It's only been a few days. Indeed, I have unified them. Now that more than 50,000 God Realm experts in the 64 domains are under my control, they might all leave the 64 domains and come to the God Realm. That's great. The 7 luminaries Demon Emperor laughed heartily. I need a force like this to fight against the Northern God Realm. Lin Muyu glared at him and said, I'm not looking for these troops to fight for you. No matter what, I have to settle the war in the Shattered Cauldron Realm first. Alright, whatever you say. Lin Muyu asked again, Sister Xiao, how long will it take? About 3 months. Doesn't that mean I have to stay in the 64 domains for another 3 years? Yes, that's about it. Damn, then hurry up. Everyone, continue arguing. I'm leaving first. Lin Muyu waved her cloak and disappeared. She came and went quickly. Sun Feng and Qing Ping were confused. Are we still arguing? What are you arguing about? The 7 luminaries Demon Emperor stood up. Help Xiao gather spiritual energy materials and strengthen the Northern Heaven Wheel's divine power. We will discuss the war after you returns. Chapter 1075. Heaven's Pole Continent, 12th of June. The scorching summer sun scorched the earth like burning charcoal. The entire Eastcom city was like a charcoal stove. The streets and alleys were filled with peddlers selling ice cubes. These ice cubes were harvested from snowy mountains, and each of them was sold for a sky-high price of 1 silver coin. Probably only the rich people in Eastcom City could afford them. Eastcom City, a city that had been baptized by wind and frost, was very leisurely. The Tianji Empire's emperor, Dark North, did not send any generals to guard Eastcom City again. Instead, he bestowed the city to Radiant Angel Midnight as his fief. All he had to do was pay taxes on time. As a result, Eastcom City had become Midnight's private territory. In the provincial capital, there were many guards. Huge dragons with iron chains in their mouths flew down from their lair, swaying their huge tails to be fed by humans. The dragon lair stood tall in the city, becoming a landmark of Eastcom City. Deep in the mansion, Midnight, who was dressed in luxurious clothes, was playing checkers with another strength angel, Mach. They were playing the Western Divine Realms checkers, while Dora stood guard at the side with a sword in hand. Any news from the Divine Realm? Midnight asked. Not yet, Honorable Envoy. Dora thought for a while and continued, Lord Ruler hasn't given any orders for half a year. The last order was for Lord Envoy to guard the Heaven's Pole Continent and defend against the Shattered Cauldron Realm's attack. Is there any news from Lord Eva? No, Lord Eva is with Lord Ruler. She's still in the Western Divine Realm. Midnight looked up at the sky outside the skylight and said, I wonder what Lord Ruler plans to do next. The remaining people in the Heaven's Pole Continent are gradually losing strength. In a few more years, perhaps even the Shattered Cauldron Realm's Feng Jixing, Tang Xiaoxi, Wei Chou, and the others won't be able to be underestimated. Dora smiled faintly. Lord Envoy, there's no need to worry about those people. After all, they're gods from the mortal realm. They haven't received the blessings of the divine realm, nor have they seen the greatness of the power of laws. No matter how strong they are, their power is limited. Lord Envoy, please rest assured. Lord Envoy, the ruler won't abandon loyal servants like us. Yes, I hope so. Zai lowered his head and looked at the chessboard again. He raised his hand and took one of Mok's stones. He smiled and said, Lord Mok, I didn't expect you to still lose by one move. Mok smiled in amazement. I can't help but admire you. Your chess skills are indeed exquisite and admirable. Shall we play another round? Alright. East Com City remained quiet until late at night. 3 dragon knights patrolled the city on their giant dragons. This was the rule of East Com City. After all, there were more and more godly realm experts on the continent. Only the dragon knights could fight them. It was a starry night, and starlight shone on the ground. This was the favorite time for the Western Divine Realm's angels to cultivate. The starlight was very cold, completely different from the heat of the sun. In order to have great achievements in the laws of light, one had to be well-versed in the 2 different powers of light, scorching and cold. In the provincial capital's altar, Midnight stood proudly in the center, absorbing the light of the stars in the sky. Mok stood further away. As for Dora, she led hundreds of guards further away on guard. Unknowingly, Dora had already become the person in charge of East Com Province's military power. Midnight and Mok weren't passionate about power, but Dora was passionate about it. Without a doubt, this resulted in such a situation. Zai raised his elegant neck, exuding an extraordinary aura. He felt the power of the stars in the sky, as well as the charm of the celestial pole continent, which was rich in spiritual power. After an unknown period of time, a ripple suddenly surged in the sky. Zai couldn't help but frown. It seemed that someone was coming. What's wrong, Lord Zai? Mok asked from afar. Zai shook his head. I don't know what happened. It seems to be an illusion. It seems like a god has descended. The Western Divine Realm has sent more troops? Mok was somewhat happy. Zai frowned. The source of divine power doesn't come from the Western Divine Realm, but from the Northern Divine Realm. Not good. Mok, be careful. Someone really is coming, and they don't come with good intentions. In the sky, a wisp of divine power approached at an astonishing speed. Soon, a visible ball of flames descended from the sky like a meteor, smashing straight in Zai's direction. Be *starred. Zai roared, raised his sword, and swept out a majestic pattern of light. Boom! Amidst the explosion, half of the altar's formation was destroyed. Zai retreated miserably and fell into the rubble. There was a large hole in front of him, and there was even a crack on Zai's sword. This was the sword of light forged by the Western Divine Realm, and it was actually broken with just a simple attack? As Zai looked on as if he was facing a great enemy, a person walked out of the deep hole in front of him, his steps steady. It was a young man with a smile on his face. In his hand was a saber surrounded by flames, and his body was bathed in flames. He seemed to be enjoying it very much. He smiled and said, "You can actually take one of my attacks. The radiant angel of the Western Divine Realm is indeed not simple." Zai's whole body trembled. The opponent's power was definitely above his, and it was a lot higher. "Who are you?" Zai desperately tried to calm down. The person smiled, held his saber horizontally, and said, "The person who is about to take over the entire celestial pole continent." Who exactly are you?" Zai gripped his sword tightly, and all the light divine power in his body burst out. He knew that if he couldn't block any of this person's next attacks, he would be consigned to eternal damnation. His opponent's killing intent was already surging, and he didn't hide it at all. "It doesn't matter if I tell you." The person casually rested the saber on his shoulder and said with a smile, "One of the 2 great marshals under the Northern Divine Realm's Divine King Dongming, Yangsheng. Don't tell me that a radiant angel like you doesn't know about the alliance between the Northern Divine Realm and the Western Divine Realm? The celestial pole continent is already under the jurisdiction of the Northern Divine Realm. This time, I came to inspect the territory." The corner of Zai's mouth twitched and he said, "So it's Marshal Yangsheng. If that's the case, I can return to the Western Divine Realm to hand in my orders. Marshal Yangsheng, please take over the celestial pole continent." Unexpectedly, Xianxia raised his eyebrows and said, "No, you can't leave." Zai was shocked. A cold smile flitted across the corner of Xianxia's mouth, and he said, "As the saying goes, the voice seizes the person. The Northern Divine Realm has never had any foundation in the celestial pole continent. If I don't kill a ruler with enough power, how can I make the continent submit to the Northern Divine Realm? Thank you for your hard work. What's your name, Radiant Angel?" Zai gritted his teeth. At this time, Mok had already arrived beside Zai, and the long sword in his hand burst with a cold light. He said, "Lord Zai, we are both perfect God Emperors. Let's fight him to the death. I don't believe that two four-winged angels can't kill a barbarian from the Northern Divine Realm." "Oh, so your name is Zai?" Xianxia laughed loudly. "I'll take your heads. Just because you called me a barbarian, I'll make sure you die without a complete corpse." Zai gripped his long sword tightly, and a sharp light burst out of his eyes. "Fight!" Boom boom boom. Fire and light blossomed in the center of the altar, and the earth rumbled. "Not good, something has happened to the holy altar." Dora was shocked, and he whistled into the air. "Dragon Knights, reinforce the holy altar. Guards, follow me and kill our way over." Most of these guards were equipped with demon heart arrows and demonic crystal crossbows, and they were quite a threat to God Realm experts. This was where Dora was smart, and he would make use of whatever he could. He would not do anything that would cost him nothing. Torches lit up the surroundings, and when Dora led a group of soldiers to kill their way over to the holy altar, they discovered that the holy altar had already been razed to the ground. Amidst the flames that filled the sky, an imposing man could be seen holding a head in his hand. That head looked familiar, and it was none other than the head of the radiant angel Zai. Even his divine essence had been stolen. The man stepped on another corpse and pulled out a bitingly cold flaming war blade from the corpse. Blood splattered everywhere, and that corpse was none other than the strength angel Mok. The light from the four wings behind Mok was slowly dissipating. Once an angel died, the power of the blessing would leave their body. "Lord Zai." "Lord Mok." Dora's eyes widened in disbelief. Everyone thought that Zai was the strongest god in the entire celestial pole continent, and even the shattered cauldron realm, but just now, he and Mok had still been killed. The man walked over with Zai's head in his hand, and his eyes were like torches as he stared at Dora. He said in a low but powerful voice, "Kneel." "What?" Dora's body trembled. "I order you to kneel." The man's voice became a notch heavier. "I kneel. Pay your respects to your new master." The man's voice was incomparably deep. Dora's entire body trembled, and the group of soldiers behind him could not withstand such pressure. One by one, they all knelt down. Dora resisted for about half a minute, and finally his knees gave way, and he slowly knelt down. The man smiled. "That's more like it. Your new master comes from the Northern God Realm, and he is one of the two great marshals of the God Realm. His name is Xianxia. Remember this well, for the rest of your lives, you will be loyal to this name." Dora slowly said, "Yes, young Marshal Xianxia." "What's your name?" Xianxia raised his eyebrows and asked. "Dora. My name is Dora. I am a black-winged battle angel from the Western Divine Realm. From today onwards, you are no longer a citizen of the Western Divine Realm." Xianxia stared at her coldly. "You are a citizen of the Northern God Realm, so you are one of my Xianxias. Do you understand?" "I will." Dora knelt on the ground and lowered her head. "Raise your head. Let me see your face," Xianxia said. "Yes." Dora raised her head. Xianxia gave her a dry smile and said, "Do you want to live?" "There is a rule in our Northern God Realm. If you want a woman to be loyal to you, you must first turn her into your woman. Do you understand this principle?" Xianxia's eyes burned with passion. The corner of Dora's mouth curled up slightly. "I understand." You're tuning in to the Wang Lin's Journey YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.